Greetings, everybody. Let me know if you can hear me, and I do apologize. I've been sitting here talking for some time and unfortunately was not available to you. So let's go ahead and kick this off. Is there still an echo? Do you all still hear an echo? Hey, Tracy, K. Judah, Mika, Ariel, it's a blessing to see you all here. I remember Cynthia Stewart came in, y'all. Please forgive me. Of course, you all know that we definitely have families, and hey, Eve, we all have family fun, and of course, between our own personal lives. And I'm so grateful that so many people understand when we're trying to share that information between our own personal lives and all of you and the research that we try to do to make sure that you all are as extremely as informed as possible scripturally and even on this end, even when we're having fun on Moshe's channel, we like to make sure that you all are as informed as much as possible. But we definitely have things that we do have going on the outside, so please forgive the delay, but thank you so much for showing up. All right, if you all aren't hearing, hey, what's going on, Sharsham? If you all aren't hearing any echo, let's go ahead and get into this because, as usual, I have to bless my people. I've done my best to pull as much information as I possibly can with regard to the super predators. Okay, so we're going to take just a little bit of a delve into that. But as usual, I always have a number of videos and some information that I like to bring forth with things that are happening across the country. Okay, not just in our own little areas of the world. So I just want to make sure that you all can hear. There is no echo. Nobody's saying anything. And I want to deliver a peace and a blessings as I always do. Peace and blessings to the true people of Yah, the Hebrews, the true nation builders, the always. And I do mean always, everywhere you go across the world. Okay, because your sister spent some time in Japan. Your sister has been a couple of places, not tons, but I'm just saying. And wherever I see anything else going on with any other nation of people, listen to me. There's everybody out there that's trying to imitate you, even when it's coming down to trying to mimic the same hair that we have on our heads that they try to laugh. Shalom, Obadiah. Mika. Mika, I know I spoke to you. I think I did. I don't know. I had to do it so many times, and I apologize, you all, because, of course, I was not on the mic. Okay. But, just peace and blessings to all of you. We're always imitated, but we can never be duplicated. So I don't care what they think they're doing. When people want to act like they're bringing in some replacements for us, there's never a replacement for us. That's why you all are going to have to go down to that valley and you're going to have to sit here and talk to our Most High. Please forgive me. Okay. We are unwilling to assimilate. We are the set apart Sabbath keepers, the peculiar people, the apple of Yah's eye. So we're going to go ahead and get into a lot of this stuff because we go through so much on a weekly basis, as I stated before. And I just believe we ought to see the beauty of our people, which is why I at least try to provide you a happy, cheerful video as much as I can, as much as it pertains to our people in our natural habitat, our actual beauty, our love. Beautiful, talented, awesome, and funny. So I want to go over this video. I thought this was super duper cute. If I miss anybody, I just want to let you all know, hey, please forgive me. This mommy says that this baby does this every time she lights a candle in the house. So take a listen.
Run for her money when she hits that high note. Take a look. Wait for that note.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That little girl makes me laugh every time I hear her do that, okay? Somebody sent that to me at work, and I was like, I got to go back and find this particular video. All right. The couple of videos that we now have going after this, you are going to take a look at some of your young Hebrew heroes, okay? Before we do that, May 19th, y'all know my man, and this time I am actually not talking about Morris Chestnut, even though y'all know I do have an affinity for him. Let the world know, okay? May 19th was Malcolm X Day, 2023, okay? I just want to send out a peace and blessings to his children because they've suffered tremendously, not only under the hands of our government, but under the Nation of Islam, who I personally believe chose to stand on the side of whatever was wrong and whatever man worship they had going on. And that's just my personal opinion. It doesn't have to be yours, okay? I believe that they chose to stand on that side rather than truth and right. And I often kind of go over that video where you hear Farrakhan stating how, when he's referring to Malcolm X, that today, you know, what business is it of yours if they choose to deal with their traitor? If they choose to deal with their traitor the way that they want to, what business is it of yours? And I'm sitting here every time I think about that. This is just me personally. I hate when I hear him say that. And then he had the audacity. I can remember watching, um, I think this was a 60 Minutes interview where he's sitting here across from one of Malcolm's daughters, and it's like, I, I didn't have anything to do with Malcolm's. It just burns me up because I wanted him to talk to that young lady exactly the way that he talked to the crowd when he was getting all revved up inside of, I don't know what they call it, the mosque. That right there, that's what I wanted to hear. But he didn't talk like that. And if Malcolm was their idea of a traitor, I can honestly tell you all, and I'm just being honest with you, that if that was their idea of a traitor, I would have certainly taken him. Okay, and I'm saying that because I can only imagine what this movement would actually look like if Malcolm was at the helm with his dedication to his religion. What would have been the dedication in the bloodline in recognizing that you were Hebrew and not having your brothers, you know who I'm talking about, out here in the street yelling over one another and just bringing what you're calling the information out to one another by using your brutality and your testosterone and whatever else came with that. What would it have been under somebody like him? I appreciate his humility and his true desire and his true heart for his people. I don't think I would have ever seen him riding in anywhere on top of a horse. Um, I don't think I would have ever seen that because he lived in a state of humility and he stayed true to what he believed in despite what was going on around him. That was a great blessing to see a man like that. If I were to compare him to anybody in the scriptures, and not that he's being worshiped, I'm not worshiping him, but I am recognizing the dude, this man was awesome. This was a man, and I felt like he was awesome. If I were to compare him to anyone in the scriptures because of his humility, I would have compared him to Moshe. And because of that light skin reddedness, he would have been considered as ruddy and as handsome and as fearless as King David to me. So I pray that this brother rest in power. Okay. I wish that we as Hebrews would take something from that and apply it to life. It was just a blessing. All right. And now that I said that, happy Malcolm X Day, I want to get into our next Hebrew hero. Okay? Listen to this, and I'm sorry that I have to bring it this way because unfortunately, this is how this young lady became a hero. Unfortunately, in the midst of a crime.
Please, sir, let us out the car. Please, sir, please, can you let us out the car? I don't got nothing to do with this. Please, can you just take the car and just let us go?
First at 5, this is what a hero looks like. A 9-year-old girl keeps her cool and gets herself and her baby brother to safety.
What happened to her next is a story you'll only hear right here on Fox 5. And that brave young girl's story is not only frightening for any parent, but her boldness and quick thinking is truly incredible.
Fox 5's Maddie White has been tracking this story for us. Maddie, you spoke to her mother yesterday. How are they doing after this? It's serious. It is a traumatic event for her.
Oh, it was horrible. Yeah, the mother was desperate, just awful yesterday, a little bit better today. But really meeting the children today was so eye-opening and just incredible to know how brave this little girl was. So, like I said last night, we heard from her mother as she tells me she ran after her car as it was being stolen with her children in it. And now we're hearing from the brave young girl herself. Her name is Nyla, and she did whatever it took to save herself and her baby brother, King.
I know where 7-Eleven at because that's the way we go to my granny's house.
This is Nyla Prentice. The 9-year-old and her baby brother were in the back seat of their mom's car Monday night when their mom ran into this 7-Eleven on Cheyenne and Decatur to use the ATM, and the unthinkable happened.
This boy was looking at her at a strange way, and then he ran outside, and he tried to open my mom's door, and then my mom came outside and she was like, "What are you doing next to my car?" And then when she come next to the car, it unlocks. So her car unlocked and then he got in the car and he zoomed. I didn't want to put my hands on him because he was driving fast and I didn't want to die.
Nyla says she wasn't sure where he was driving, but says they were going fast.
So I just closed my eyes and I was thinking, I was like, what I'm going to say.
That's when she says she reached for the unlock button in the car.
I reached into unlock the door. He was like this. And I was like, "Please, sir, let us out the car. Please, sir, please, can you let us out the car? I don't got nothing to do with this, please."
She says the only thing the kidnapper said to her was, "Get out." He pulled over.
The only thing I was worried about was my little brother. And so I tried to grab my shoes. And he didn't let me. He was like, "Hurry up, get out." So I grabbed his binky and then me and him ran.
Once on the sidewalk, she started running.
I didn't know where I was at. Just started running with him. Because I'm not going to leave him in the car. Because I always watch him every day.
Nyla and King managed to get back to 7-Eleven. She ran barefoot through the dark streets with her baby brother in her arms.
I was looking for some lights, and then I saw the 7-Eleven that we was at, and then I went in there, and I was shaking and crying.
The staff at 7-Eleven gave her a chair and something to drink. Then the officers came in.
I heard they say they had my mom. I started crying.
Her mom says she fell to the floor, thanking God her children were safe. Still unclear what this person's motive was.
Did he know you were there?
Yes. He looked back at me. He should have been minding his own business.
He sure should have. And that man accused in the kidnapping is behind bars facing numerous charges. Now, the mother learned today that her car was totaled by the kidnapper. So if you'd like to help with those expenses, a link to a GoFundMe is on.
This young lady was put into a position. Do you understand? She's 9. And I never heard the age of now you put yourself into a position. You're running around snatching people's cars because this is funny. You knew it was that woman's car. And now you put yourself into a position. Now you are now a kidnapper in addition to a carjacker. Excellent. Excellent job, sir, whoever you are, for what you have done. And I hate to say that, but in this commission of a crime, this is how this baby girl, and then you put her out on the side of the street. Okay? She's running down the street. I don't want to hear any of our brethren ever say anything about us leaving them behind. That girl grabbed her baby brother. That's what she was worried about. And she talks like a grown woman. Like, I watch him every day. He should have been minding his own business. Sorry. I think that was my favorite part. But I'm so glad that she stood up and had to plead with this man. It was ridiculous. Y'all, okay. Next story. Another young Hebrew hero, 11-year-old king.
LaPrentice Dowdy knew he had to do something when his family's apartment caught fire with his baby sister still inside. His mom, Kishana Banks, is beyond grateful for his bravery.
I feel bad because I don't know how to reward him right now. I praise him and let him know that, do you know you did a good job? You know what I mean? But I'm still trying to process everything. I'm still in shock.
In LaPrentice's arms, little loyalty rests her head after a whirlwind 24 hours. LaPrentice says he couldn't live with himself if he didn't step up to rescue his sister.
Well, if I didn't save my sister, I would be mad at myself because I could have saved her easily. I could have saved her, and I would risk my life for my sister.
Salisbury Mayor Jake Day says he has a surprise plan for the brave boy to recognize his heroism.
Well, as a mayor, I'm always looking for citizens who are selfless, citizens who are willing to lead, and we've got one right here.
While LaPrentice says he's filled with joy.
I feel good that my sister's alive today. I feel happy that Thanksgiving's tomorrow.
And that you'll be able to celebrate it with your family.
Mm-hmm. My sister.
The best gift of all for the holiday season.
My God, I'm trying not to cry. I cannot allow these little heroes to turn me into punk. I can't do it. Y'all, did you hear him when he said, I would never forgive myself? That is so much for a baby to have on his mind. This is a young man. That is too much for him to have on his mind. Thank you, Father, for our young kings and queens that are coming up. I pray that this is a different generation. Somewhere deep down within, that we'll actually look out for each other and stay in that place and know that we have one another's back. I do pray that. That hurt me. And he just seemed like he's such a sweet and gentle child. But you now know that he is also a lion on the inside because he was not about to let anything happen to his baby sister. And I pray that she always remembers that. The same for both of these stories. All right. Come on, another 11-year-old king.
An 11-year-old boy helped save his grandma's life in a way he'll be telling his friends about for years. When she started having a health scare, PJ grabbed the car keys and drove grandma to safety in her Mercedes. Caitlin Ross talked to PJ's grandma about her driving guardian angel.
11-year-old PJ is determined. His grandma told me he does whatever he sets his mind to without hesitation. So when she suffered a medical emergency last week, she had no doubt PJ would come to her rescue.
He's an easygoing little fella. He loves to play outside.
Angela Brewer-Lay and her grandson PJ spend a lot of time together outside. He was with her last week when she was walking about 1.5 miles from her house.
Always ride either his four-wheeler or his go-kart or either dirt bike up and down the road while I'm trying to get a little exercise in.
She says she started feeling shaky, seeing spots in her vision, the telltale signs her blood sugar was getting too low.
He noticed my demeanor. That's when I guess he sprung into action.
She says PJ took off like a shot while she tried to steady herself in the road.
And I was leaning against the stop sign. All of a sudden, I looked to my right, and I saw my car, my Mercedes-Benz, coming towards me. Wait a minute. Looked in the car. It was him. It was PJ.
She was out of it, but even during a medical emergency, she could appreciate how cool and collected he was behind the wheel.
And this child is only 11 years old and drives like a pro.
She had to take a video of his skills after she recovered because she couldn't believe how well he handled the car.
He did not go off the curb in the grass of nothing. Pulled down in the driveway into the garage.
He rushed inside and got her some glucose tabs and a package of peanut butter crackers. Then she asked him how he just did that. She says her husband asked him to move cars in the yard before, but never in the street and never by himself. She's just so thankful he was there.
He's an extra special, ordinary little boy, and he doesn't ask for nothing in return.
PJ might not ask for anything in return, but they wanted to thank him for his bravery. So this past weekend, they took him out for his favorite, crab legs, both as a reward and to celebrate his early birthday. PJ turns 12 on Wednesday.
Happy birthday, PJ. I guess it'll be 4 years and he can drive his grandmother with his license. Now, his grandmother mentioned there were other cars in the yard. Did she say why PJ chose the Mercedes?
Yeah, they have a Camry and SUV, so she asked him, why the Mercedes-Benz, PJ? He told her they were the closest keys he could find. She said, yeah, right, but she didn't care as long as he was there to help.
Can you believe that? You know those weren't the closest keys. Now, I love PJ. It's true. I bless PJ for what he has done to get his grandma out there, but you know why he chose the Mercedes keys. Probably because I would have done the same thing. I want to experience that smooth ride as well. Okay? All right. When people do tell you that it does not matter, these degrees, I need you to go forward. Our people need to have these things in hand. We need to have the training in hand, and we need to move forward. Ladies, your degrees mean something, okay? You never know when we might need something like this out in the wilderness. So, hey, peace to this sister and congratulations.
I just wanted to make sure I matched. I just wanted to make sure I got into an amazing program. And to know that even on top of that, I've made history. Honestly, it's a very honoring experience and a very humbling experience. So I was so nervous, I could not open the letter myself. I had to get one of my mentors to open the letter. My mind went blank the moment she said Vanderbilt. It was my number one choice. It was where I wanted to go. It was where I knew that I would get the best training for me. And so when she said that, I just lost it. I was so happy.
I'm the first Black woman to train there.
You are.
Woo!
There, currently are not a lot of Black African-American women training in neurosurgery. And I think about, whenever I was a little girl in history class, you just think about all these people in these books and you're like, oh, that's really cool that they did that. I wonder how they did that. And it's very crazy to me that now people are looking at me the same way. You made history, you're that girl.
You're a trailblazer.
It's a great experience, because one of the things that I'm really passionate about is education, mentoring, and teaching, and being able to teach students who look like me and educate students who look like me and inspire students who look like me is really important to me, because that's why I'm here today. It's because I was able to see mentors and role models who, I would just have to say, my dreams came true. It's a moment to where you can finally say all your hard work paid off. When you think about the entire journey that you've taken to get here, all the sacrifices, all the hard work, all the education, you're like, wow, I really did it. And it was something that is really important to me, and I think will always be special to me.
I always want to tell the whole story again. Peace and power to that sister. The only thing, and I can remember just, I work around doctors too. You always just pray that they never lose their bedside manner. Never. When people need you and you have that gift, and that's for everything that we do in life, because everything is a hand holding experience. Everything is a customer serving experience. Everything is a service experience. This is why it disturbs me when I see our people uh, behaving as if we need to be worshiped. No, everything is a customer service, everything is a servant leader experience. You are not here to be worshiped. We're here to work together. And if you're going to lead, make sure you know how to get your hands in that dirt as well. Okay? Y'all, this particular story right here, I felt like I couldn't do it enough justice, and unfortunately I had to try to find something that would work within the time frame. This young brother, extremely awesome, extremely awesome. Okay, please pay attention. One thing I don't agree with was when I hear the police guy say, if he wasn't here to assist. No, he wasn't here to assist. This young Hebrew took over and did the darn thing. Okay?
A 16-year-old is being hailed a hero after he jumped into a river in Mississippi, saving several people, including a police officer. It happened early Sunday morning after 3 teenage girls drove off a boat ramp and their vehicle began to sink. The officer found himself struggling in the water after he jumped in to help them. Amber Spradley has more on the heroic rescue in tonight's Positive Story.
A holiday weekend hangout under the I-10 bridge quickly turned to terror when 3 teenage girls drove right into the Pascagoula River.
They drove straight under the water, like only a little bit of the car was still above the water.
16-year-old Corion Evans from Pascagoula tossed his shoes, shirt, phone, and jumped in.
I was just like, I can't let none of these folks die. They need to get out the water. So I just started getting them. I wasn't even thinking about nothing else.
Evans, a Pascagoula High student, says he's been swimming since he was about 3. He was at the right place at the right time with the right skills.
I started helping both of them, trying to stay above from the back. Like I was behind them, trying to keep them above water and swim with them at the same time.
I'm glad nothing happened to him while he was trying to save other people's lives. I was really proud of Corion because he wasn't just thinking about himself. He was trying to really get all those people out the water.
Marquita Evans now praising her son for helping rescue the 3 girls, along with Moss Point police officer Gary Mercer.
I turn around, I see the police officer, he drowning. He going underwater drowning, saying help. So I went over there. I grabbed the police officer and I'm like swimming him back until I feel myself I could walk.
Chief Brandon Ashley releasing this statement to WLOX, saying in part, quote, "We commend Evans's bravery. If he had not assisted, it could have turned tragic."
They was out there throwing up because a lot of water had got inside all of them.
One victim, Cora Watson, posting on social media, "He saved my life right before my last breath."
25 yards out. So it was a lot of swimming. My legs were so tired after. Anything could have been in that water though, but I wasn't thinking about it.
If you all ever look up this story, and hey, shalom, Sister Nama, shalom, Brother Christy, okay? Obadiah, thank you so much for your encouragement, because you know how he does me, okay? And I'm trying to hold on because Monday is coming, okay? But I just want to say, if anybody else takes the opportunity to pull up the account of this story, you will see that young lady crying as they are walking together toward the dock to do this story. She nearly loses it every time you hear her say, "He saved me right before I drew my last breath." Thank you to that young brother for not being selfish. Oh my God. Now, he did take the time to take his phone out and throw the phone in the shirt and the shoes and stuff like that, because you cannot let mess that stuff up. But when you have to turn around and save the police officer, okay? You had to turn around and save the police officer. You are nothing less than the bomb.com. Peace and blessings. And this is a final Hebrew hero. And I love, I love my father. My father is like a man's man. Okay. I love both my parents. But my dad, I don't know if I'm a daddy's girl. I don't know if I would say that. I think my baby sibling would be more of that type. But when I'm telling you, it's just nothing like having a strong, beautiful father behind you, one that's not traipsing around the world on war tours or anything like that, but one that is definitely letting you know, his sons and his daughters, that he's got you like he's a mighty eagle and you're on his back. Okay? Fantastic. Fantastic. But listen to this. Very, very short. I know many of you have probably already seen it, but listen.
Did I tell you me and mama got you? Did I tell you me and mama got you? Don't ever not think I ain't got you. Don't ever think I ain't got you, man. You been blessing me all your life. Don't ever think I ain't got you, bruh. You've been a blessing to me and mama all your life. And I'm going to go all out for you. I'm going to go all out for Jamaica John, Anna Kay. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's yours. That's yours. That's yours. You deserve every bit of that. I told you, man. All you got to do is just trust. Believe God always and know who your mom and dad. Man, we got you. Didn't I tell you that? Look at that. Look at that. That's yours. That's yours. Yeah, man. That's yours. Your dad put in about you believe? Hey, you believe for that. That's yours. Hey, that's yours. That's yours. Did I tell you me and mama got you?
I won't do it. Don't ask me. Listen, the significance of that for me personally was just watching the beauty of that father. The way that father was letting his son know. And it's like he almost couldn't even hold it any longer as they were walking toward that vehicle. The humility of that young man to still have his head, to hold his head up high, and to walk with his father and hold his father. You know, the man hug. You're hugging, but you ain't hugging too deep. You're not hugging like the like as if your mom was hugging you and holding on and pressing her body up, next to you. That kind of hug. His humility and the reception of those keys where he is saying thank you. And his father acknowledging the fact that I saw everything that you were doing all this time. And I want you to know you worked for this. This belongs to you. Like you own this bad boy outright. This is yours. That love. And his mother. Oh my God, they were so cute. We have fathers like this in the world. We here in Israel, we have those fathers. We do. We have those husbands. Just like we have those mothers, we have those wives, we have these women. Okay? We are strong, mighty, and powerful and beautiful people. Nobody can ever convince me of anything less. Granted, I'm not even going to lie. many of us get on my nerve because we need to be more receptive and more peaceful and more beautiful with one another. I am tired of when we go out and we meet with one another or we see one another, you don't speak. You're ugly. And the women with the handling of other women. I am a woman who recognizes the beauty of other women. I will call it out in a minute. Shalom positive. I will call it out in a minute. Okay? That dress is beautiful. You are rocking that. Your hair is awesomeness. I will do that. And I don't understand why it's so hard for so many of us to do that. We have so much against us. I want us to remain beautiful and loving to one another. Now, I understand sometimes people will bring it to you and they need to understand in the scriptures, okay, you will be met with the measure where therefore you have met me. So be mindful of how you bring things to me. Okay? Sometimes that has to happen. And sometimes we need to also understand everything is not going to be swept over, that there is also going to be a firm rebuke. Okay? Because a firm and strong rebuke is going to be better than secret love. I'm not going to have any secret love for you, and especially if I feel like you're wrong, we're not doing that. Okay? All right, y'all. Well, we're going to get ready to go into this next segment because I do want to discuss, the term super predator. Right. Where was that born out of? Let's get into that, okay? I'm going to be honest with you all. I don't even know how or why this even showed back up on my radar. It's been so long, but I didn't understand why it came back. And it could have been, honestly, the fact that I'd seen so many children kind of acting out, so many other things that were going on, especially it seems like up the East Coast. I don't know what's going on, but we need to get it together over here. Okay, it's actually all across the nation. I found so many different stories, and that is inclusive of stories that are not just Hebrews that are involved in these shenanigans. But give me a second. Let's see if we can find out. Let's listen into this from Hillary Clinton. I believe this is 1996. So hopefully I have the right clip. Hold on.
Money when she hits that high note. Take a look.
Wrong clip. Hold on.
Our streets from crime, gangs, and drugs. And we have actually been making progress on this count as a nation because of what local law enforcement officials are doing, because of what citizens and neighborhood patrols are doing. We're making some progress. Much of it is related to the initiative called community policing, because we have finally gotten more police officers on the street. That was one of the goals that the president had when he pushed the crime bill that was passed in 1994. He promised 100,000 police. We're moving in that direction, but we can see it already makes a difference, because if we have more police interacting with people, having them on the streets, we can prevent crimes. We can prevent petty crimes from turning into something worse. But we also have to have an organized effort against gangs. Just as in a previous generation, we had an organized effort against the mob. We need to take these people on. They are often connected to big drug cartels. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. And the president has asked the FBI to launch a very concerted effort against gangs everywhere. In addition to that, he has appointed a new drug czar. You probably saw him Tuesday night. He's one of the most distinguished active military generals that we have in our country. He's already proven that he knows how to interdict drugs because of his command of the South American activity on behalf of the United States. But General McCaffrey will make a big difference. And I believe it is now time for all of us to know what we can do individually to be part of this anti-crime, anti-gangs, anti-drug effort. The fifth challenge is to protect the environment.
So, that's what she said. That's what Hillary Clinton said in 1996. She uses the term super predator. I don't need, again, and I've told you all that, and I'm being quite honest, don't even know why this showed back up on my radar, but I wanted to go over something because I went to go and do just a little bit of a research. And I found an article in the marshallproject.org. So if you all have an opportunity, please feel free to go and pull that information up on the marshallproject.org and under super predator, because this article here was written in November 20th, 2020. And I'm going to show you who actually, because that was 1996, right? You saw the numbers off to the side, and I'm not sure if you can actually even see it in the thumbnail, where you also see it says 1996. Let me see if I can set this up. The person who actually coined this term was named John Daulio. He now here defines the word super predator in April of 1996. So, bear with me. There's some things I'm actually wanting to keep up. I want to see if I can go ahead and share this. Gedra, I might need your help if you're still even there. I'm not familiar with sharing. And then I have something that's sitting here blocking the screen. Ah, there it is. Share screen. Why is it telling me now block? You all, just let me know if you can hear this. I'd rather you see it, especially for those of you who are able to pull up the article, because it is in the article. Okay? So just let me know if you can hear this. Okay. Did anybody hear that at all? Because it's not allowing me to share. The name of the article is Super Predator. KJ, I cannot share the screen. It's giving me, it's saying something about whenever I'm attempting to share it and I hit the present key, it says share screen. I select share screen, and then it says to allow StreamYard to share to see your screen. And then it gives that option, not now, and then it says always block. It does not allow me to share it at all. Let me choose entire screen. Okay, I see entire screen. Okay, now it's allowing me. So let's see if we can do this again, family. Can you all see the screen? You may not be looking at it, but hold on just one moment. This is just going to be real quick. It's a few seconds. Okay. Oh, my picture was in the way. Thank you. Okay, Judah. I didn't realize it was coming up on there. I thought you were actually looking at the computer. So we're going to try this one more again. Okay. I hate to move my picture because I like that picture. All right. Here we go. Let's try this again. John Daulio. All right. Was everyone able to finally see that? How many of you believe that? Give me a one if you believe that. Is that all that is to being a super predator? Thanks, KJ. Is that all to being a super predator? Obadiah, you couldn't hear it at all? You couldn't hear it. I don't understand. And I actually have it. I'm not sure if any of you could actually see the screen where it was saying that it's actually listed on 100. I can't even take it up any further. Pull up the article, you all, if you can. I hate to have you all have to do this work because I did go over it, but the name of this gentleman is John Daulio. Okay, this is where Hillary Clinton got this information from. So she brings it, I believe, perhaps around November of 1996. And I believe that this interview with him took place in April of 1996, where he defines the word super predator. A young juvenile criminal, so impulsive, so remorseless, that he can kill, rape, and maim without giving it a second thought. That's what he says. Okay? Oh, okay, Judah, give me just 1 second. How do I drop the link? You're asking me to do all this special stuff. I don't know how to do this. Let's see. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here, you all, I am trying not to end the stream by mistake. Let me see. Nope. Okay, Judah, can't you just go in? I can believe a Latino woman cursed them out, and I'm going to tell you why. If I could ever find out how to get K Judah the link, I'd be more than happy to tell you all why. Because I'm sitting here thinking about how this is how they described the youth, right? This is what they did. But this is what they were doing when they were describing sending it out there for black youth. Hey, monster, dimples, dimples. This is what they were doing to black youth. Okay, so let's go a little bit into this article. KJ, can you just come in here because I don't know how to send the link. I want to start off with this. And this was not even John Daulio's. I'm hoping that I'm saying his name correctly. So when we're looking at it, it says the epithet is a quarter century old, but it still has a sting. He's called them super predators. Donald Trump insisted in his final debate with Joe Biden, but it wasn't Joe Biden that made that statement. He said he said that super predators. And Joe Biden clarifies that he never said what he is being accused of saying. Later on, you find out that Hillary Clinton apologizes for even using this, which is so bizarre because you find her like she's just such an intelligent woman, blase, 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 this, that, and thus. And she's sitting here making statements like this, which we will later find out was not even backed up by statistics. That's why I'm not into playing shenanigans when people try to tell me Google this, Google it, and it's a false statistics. We're not playing that, and I would hope that you all don't get into that either. Don't just Google. Make sure the statistics and anything other information that you all actually get and are backing up are actually statistics that come from the government. And that doesn't mean that everything is perfect, but do not allow somebody to just give you blind information. Okay, because apparently this is what she did here. Okay. So here, this guy, from the moment the term was born in 25 years ago, this is what it's saying, but it's now 27 years. Okay, in that month, Super Predator had a game-changing potency derived in part from the avalanche of media coverage that began almost immediately. It was a word that was constantly in their orbit, said someone named Steve Drizin, a Chicago attorney who defended teenagers in 1990s. It had a profound effect on the way which judges and prosecutors viewed his clients. So he is a defense attorney. Okay, an academic Listen to this. You ever heard that term, those who can't teach or something like that? Those who can do and those who can't teach, or they pretty much they find another way around it. So his name is John DeUlio Jr. He coined the term for November 1995 cover story in the Weekly Standard, brand new magazine of conservative political opinion that hit pay dirt with a provocative cover line. How many of you have ever heard of whatever happens whenever you incite some type of white rage? Like all you got to do is get them scared, even though Karen and everybody, Karen, let's think about the whole idea of a Karen. Somebody like that will sit up here and jump in your face and scream and try to steal your bike. Or I saw one the other day. This was just yesterday in the store. And when I tell you I was about to take this old lady down, okay? Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why before y'all think there's a button that says share link. Hold on just one second, family. I'm going to tell you the story while I'm looking for this button. There was a young child, a young black male child. He was pretty much, you know, in there, and it appeared as if he was kind of shopping alone. He was next in line. Him. He was next in line. It was his turn to go up there. And this lady decided she was going to stop and tell him the line starts back there. Woo, woo. I was ready to go in. Okay. Don't talk to him. He explained to her, I'm glad that he was respectful. I probably would not have been respectful enough. You didn't even see him. He's in here shopping. He knows what to do. Whoever sent him in the store knows what he's supposed to be doing. Okay? Do not speak to him and then act like he's some dummy that doesn't know where he's supposed to be going. He knows where the line was because I was standing behind him in the line. Okay, Judah, I'm going to send this to you because this is actually what I have. Can you tell me if this is it? I just went and copied it from here. Is that the right one? Okay, thank you. But this took place in 1995, okay, where he coins this term and says it hits pay dirt with the provocative cover line, the cover story, the coming of the super predators. A young professor at Princeton University. Hold on. Hey, brother KJ.
Shalom, my sister. Hey, you see where it say present?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you hit the present button, right? Once you share the screen, you
Mm-hmm.
push share screen, and at the bottom down here, it's gonna say share the tab audio. So you gotta make sure at the bottom where it say share tab audio, it need to have a check. You need to check that box.
Are you able to see it? Can you just share the screen?
I can see it from mine, but you would have to
Do I have to share it with you
no
here
no no
or
no no just hit present.
I hit
Just
present?
hit present and then go and look at the bottom where it says share tab audio.
And see, that's what I don't see. I don't see the bottom where it says share tab audio. And what's also happening is on my end, it's being blocked. Whatever this next thing off to the side is being blocked by a volume. I don't know why. It's like it actually just came up, and it whatever it had to do with my mic.
Yeah, because when you share something on the screen, the reason why we can't hear it because once you push share, you gotta make sure that that tab audio thing is on. Because if I put something right now and you open up my screen, you'll be able to hear it. Because that share tab audio at the bottom have to be checked. So that's why they can't hear it.
Okay, I don't know why. And even when I open it up, like I'm looking at share entire screen right now, I see everything, but it does not say share tab audio. It just says allow, and then the only one says mute
No,
website
no, no,
notification.
don't, no. When you push, watch this. When you push entire screen, do you see something that say share the systems audio? Do you see where it said like Chrome tab, Windows, and entire screen? Do it give
Well,
you
the
an
only
option?
thing it says is it says only share screens and the sites you trust, and then up underneath there it says all visible windows on your screen will be shared. That's it. And then it has a little box that says mute website notifications while sharing. That's it.
Open open up the window. I'm trying to share something, so you got to push the button. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about right quick.
Open up what window?
No, I'm trying to share my screen, so you would have to
You
you would
need
have
me
to
to
let
come
me
out of
share.
the share screen? Okay, let me get out of here.
Let me see. What was that guy name you just showed?
Jason Daulio, if you can you see this? You probably can't because I'm not sharing my screen.
Hold on, Jason.
Do you want me to send it to you? I'm gonna send it to you. Okay, let me do this. I'm gonna put this in the chat, everybody, because I was telling you all to look up the article. So the article is right here in the chat. There you go. The Marshall Project 2020-11. You see it?
Okay, let me see.
And then you'll be able to open it up.
Okay, let me click it. Hold up. All right. Now let me go see if it's gonna play on my end. Hold up.
Because he has a video in there. It's just like 12 seconds.
You hear that?
I don't hear anything.
Okay, now watch this. Now I'm finna ask you, can I share my screen, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
I just push share. Do you see it now? You
Yeah.
gotta okay, you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Now
So
I can go back out of this. I don't need it, but I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna come back to stream your no 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 no. You gotta share the screen. Like you gotta
okay.
tap it because I see it at the bottom, but you gotta share it to your screen.
Share screen, entire
You
screen.
see? No, no, no. You gotta share my screen, not yours.
I don't know how to share
It's
your
at the
screen.
bottom down there.
Okay,
You-
just add to the. Okay,
There
there
you
you go.
go. Now
All right,
move
let
your
me
picture out
remove
the
the
way.
picture. Oh, hold on. I'm in here now. Hold on.
Yeah, you just gotta move your avatar.
Oh, I'm moving it now. It's saying hi. Okay,
Okay.
thank
All
you.
right. Now they gonna be able to hear it now. Y'all can hear this?
Super Predator is a
Y'all hear it?
Can you all hear it?
super predator is a young juvenile criminal who is so impulsive, so remorseless that he can kill, rape, maim without giving it a second thought.
Let's go one more time.
Super predator is a young juvenile criminal who is so impulsive, so remorseless that he can kill, rape, maim without giving it a second thought.
That sound like white folk. Let me get up out of here though. I just wanted
That's
to say
my.
that.
This is my point.
That sound like them. That sound like Gentile.
This is my point. This is what this man is saying, and it's amazing that as vague as how he made that statement that you all have now heard. Thank you so much, KJ. Thank you so much. that regardless, that no matter what, how vague he was with it, that's what is getting me with regard to this article. And that's what got me with regard to how Hillary Clinton decided that she was going to present that information. And then again, let me repeat, she did it without even having crime statistics. They make a point of telling you all that. So, you all, please, please, please keep that article, okay? Please keep that article because here, this is all it takes. If we remember Lee Atwater, when he was saying that, he the way that he sets things up, he could make the pretty much the worst white man think that he was better than the best black man. Anybody remember Lee Atwater making a statement like that? And then you saw how he left this earth, didn't you? You better be mindful with how you handle our people. Okay. Diolio warned that by the year 2000, an additional 30,000 young murderers, rapists, and muggers would be roaming America's streets, sowing mayhem. They play zero value on the lives of their victims, whom they reflexively dehumanize as so worthless. They are just so much worthless white trash, he wrote. But who was doing the dehumanizing? Okay. I can't believe I had forgotten to bring that story up. How many of you remember that story about that guy that had kidnapped these three young black women? Do you remember that? And then he was abusing them in his home. And you can't really say that here, but I wouldn't call it abusing because he was using his body parts to do so. Okay. And one of the things that I never forgot was how he said, um, when our people stopped acting like animals, he would treat us like animals. And he had that young lady because he took out a couple of her friends. I can't believe, Kate, that he just wrote that in the chat. Pay no mind, pay no mind. But I thank him for his assistance. Hey, Rhonda. So he said as soon as we stopped acting like animals, he wouldn't treat us like animals. But amazingly, you went and got one of us and got three of us, took out two of her friends, and then you decided that you were going to continue to dehumanize them in your home. Now, everything that I bring for you for the most part is going to be a lot on our part because I'm always more concerned with our community. I want to always see us climb. I want to always see us being better. Okay? So you are going to see some things, many things from us, because these are the things that concern me. Let's continue in this article. But who was doing the dehumanizing? Just a few years before, the news media had introduced the term wilding and wolf pack to the national vocabulary to describe five teenagers, four black, one Hispanic, one who were convicted and later exonerated of the R word of a woman in New York's Central Park. You know how we are always talking about it's always two sides of the same bird, whether you are a Republican or a Democrat? Because I do distinctly remember, uh, and I believe that they just exonerated these guys. I do remember Trump pretty much saying, hey, they did it. They did it when nothing was ever aligning. Okay. Now it further reads that this kind of animal imagery was already in the conversation, said Kim Taylor Thompson, who is a law professional at the New York University. The super predator language began a process of allowing us to suspend our feelings of empathy toward the young people of color. Do you remember what Hillary Clinton said when she was giving that speech? And she said, "Oh, we can talk later about how they became like this." Do you remember when she said that? Would that give you an idea or an inkling to ever believe that this was anything other than a black youth? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Once you hear a statement like that, oh, we can talk later about how they got like that. I didn't hear them talk like that when that guy went into New York and decided he was going to take out a number of old people because a number of old black people were here to replace him. And what was he doing in his world that he had to be replaced? Where did he come from? What he was doing in his world was sitting here being hateful, coming up looking for guns and things like that, weapons, so that he could take out old black people who he deemed as his replacement, people who would probably be leaving the face of the earth. That's what he was doing in his world, but he was so wonderful that we had to replace him. Imagine that. They didn't even give them the amount of money that I thought that they should have had for the destruction that he had come in there and done in that neighborhood. Nothing. I have to repeat this. This kind of animal imagery was already in the conversation. The super predator language began a process of allowing us to suspend our feelings of empathy toward young people of color, and I'll say black people. The super predator theory, besides being a racist trope, was not born out in crime statistics. And do I need to repeat that to you all again? The super predator theory, like CRT. CRT is a theory. Don't you think it's amazing that in that theory, they get out here and everybody's fighting long and hard, and you have even your brethren out here saying, well, hey, we don't want people to think that we can't make it. I don't want my children growing up like that. This is because this is not a reality to them. I don't want my children thinking that they're being held back because of their color. And I'm sure they burn up the church every Sunday morning. They're probably in church right now or leaving, or they'll be praising and worshiping. You know, I'm sitting up here thinking about things like this. Hey, rocking with the truth. Again, CRT is a theory, but for some reason, this theory was able to run rampant at the time that this was written, 25 years now going into 30. It's still running rampant. But unfortunately, something happened that got us to this place. Okay? Something happened that got us to this place, because if you recall what did I just say? Besides being a racist trope, this was not born out of crime statistics and juvenile crime. Let's get a little further. Let's get into this. Juvenile arrests for murking and juvenile crime generally had already started falling when Diulio's article was published by 2000, when tens of thousands more children were supposed to be out there mugging and murking. Juvenile murking arrest had fallen by 2/3. Did y'all hear that? It had already fallen by 2/3. And this young man that's going to speak right here, and I am going to say his part. Okay, so let's get to this part, because you cannot have CRT with the things that we actually see are going on. Okay, not that it's going to hold them back, because you're going to push forward as much as you can. But don't tell me it's not real when I'm sitting up here looking at billionaires like Byron Allen. Byron Allen is consistently fighting Okay, he owns the Weather Channel. He owns the Breakfast Club or whatever that is. He owns a number of things, and he is constantly fighting. Why? Because Byron Allen, despite everything, inclusive of the fact that he is in an interracial marriage with biracial children, he can't seem to push past a certain ceiling because he cannot get past a certain wall. They won't invite him to certain tables. And it's going to be what it's going to be. Even as a Mason, when I think about how those Prince Hall Masons had to kind of come up with their own masonry, they were only going to be taught so much. And as it's my understanding that they're also still like a half or whatever degree less than white Masons. Okay? It never fails. There's still a certain level that they will not be able to get past, which leads me to believe even more we are definitely those called and those chosen people, because for some reason it seems like we get into that same thing even when we're over here and it says that the people who come into the country, or I think we want to call them alien, the immigrants or whatever that come into the country, they will always be above you. Everything that we see. Okay, and this is not hatred. Sometimes I just learn to accept little things, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Tell me if what I'm speaking is not true. If you disagree with it, I understand. I'll be more than happy, to just ask you to come up. We can see. Okay. If it had already fallen, the murking, the juvenile arrest had already fallen by 2/3, and it failed as a theory in the Marshall Project article here, but as fodder for editorials, columns, and magazine features, the term super predator was a tragic success with enormous and lasting human toll. So Terrence Lewis was 19. Listen to this now. Terrence Lewis was 19. He was returning home from work in 1997. 1997, y'all, when Philadelphia police trapped him on a bridge with their weapons drawn, and they arrested him for a murder that he spent 21 years in prison trying to prove that he did not commit. Only last year, so this was 2000, right, that this article was written. I'm sorry, 2020 that this article was written. So in 2019, it says only last year did the judge finally throw out his homicide conviction, citing faulty eyewitness testimony. That's something anybody could just walk up and say you did it. And he says he is the recipient of the backlash of that super predator rhetoric. He's now 42. The media believed in the rhetoric. As a matter of fact, the media made the rhetoric. I have heard Malcolm X speak on this. All the coverage from back in that era was to simply amplify the rhetoric. Anybody remember Susan Smith? Do you remember when Susan Smith in South Carolina decided that she did not want her children anymore, and she took them to some little boat ramp and ran them down and sunk her car? Do you remember who she blamed for that? Anybody? Anyone? Anybody? Guess. She blamed a young black man for that. Okay? And what happened? After they ran around trying to locate this guy that they all knew. The city is telling you, everybody that they went to, they pretty much terrorized the neighborhoods looking for this young black man that decided to roll off with her car and tell them that he just did not have any time to deal with this. And so then he took her kids, I suppose, and ran them off of there. But they all were aware. But they terrorized. Thank you, Chris. They terrorized that town. They were at people's houses and stuff. So don't sit here and think, because I've got that thing there on the back burner, and that was one of the things that I actually wanted to talk about in that strange woman situation. It's amazing. They sat there and allowed her to get away with that. And I think it was about 9 days later, but they all knew. Even the guy that had to draw that ridiculous composite drawing. Oh my God. Pull up the composite drawing. Pull up the composite drawing. It was ridiculous. That could look like your thumb with a little knitted hat on top of it. Yeah, I was just like in disbelief that they allowed this to go on. And now she's been in prison and has not even been a model prisoner. I think she's gotten 2 prison guards fired to use their psychology against them. I guess just like how she was able to do this. Same situation here. Same situation. And that was about what, 25 years ago, I believe, Chris? I think that was about also 25 years ago, if not more. I think she's coming up for I don't know, whenever they get ready to let them out. I forgot what that's called. This young man, 42, you took his life. He was coming home from work at 19. The man is 42 and 2020. That's a long time. That's all your youth. It never ceased to amaze me. Anyway, I'll be right back, family. I had another theory, okay? And this is just my theory. If you'll recall what we just finished reading in that article, it said that at that time the statistics for what was going on had already dropped 2/3, right? But it seems like they began to speak some things into existence. But hey, it needed a little push along the way. Now, what do y'all think about that? Anybody remember like the Contra crack cocaine controversy and stuff like that? I think we need to revisit that because those papers are out there online. You can go to oig.justice.gov, pull that up because I think honestly that this was probably what kind of helped it along to where we are eventually now seeing what we are seeing today. Iran Contra. This is how it's presented. I was thinking Iran Contra, but I just wanted to go ahead and show you this here, Chris. So you all save those. Do your own research, okay? Please do your own research. For some reason, this just fell back into my spirit. And here you see where they're talking about Rick Ross. And they call him, he's described as a sympathetically as a delusioned 19-year-old who at the dawn of the 1980s found himself adrift on the streets of South Central Los Angeles, Dark Alliance. So he began peddling small quantities of cocaine and et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, read this because I believe because they could not really get what they wanted, that this kind of kicked it off. Because if you think about during that time that crack came along, you start getting your money up and things like that. You start selling it, and then you're selling it in your own community. Well, by goodness, things that were not happening, I could understand which would now begin to happen. I don't know if you're all seeing where I'm going with this, but if you do something like this and you start to drop weapons and drugs into communities, specifically ours, I can see why what was not necessarily happening then is now happening. That's the problem. These things weren't always happening. And I have heard some horror stories specifically when it comes down to like Chicago and etc., where people did begin to abandon families even more. You're losing your mind. But isn't that something now? I don't think that they ever saw that a day like this was coming and then there would be fentanyl and other drugs. One out here that they call the zombie drug. I don't even know what's in that, don't even want to know. But these are the things that's happening. You listen, you're not going to get away with doing things, just doing stuff to our community. And now we're seeing little things like what we're seeing, which are some of the stories I'm going to go over. Okay? You're not going to get away with that and think that your community and your household is not going to be touched. So, let's see. When I'm thinking about super predators, these this is what they want you to see now. And there's going to be a number of these. Okay?
We continue to follow tonight's developing story. 4 men now charged in the murder of a Chicago police officer.
Suspects are being held without bail, accused of killing Ariana Preston during a violent crime spree. WGN's Christine Flores is live at police headquarters tonight with more on that. Christine.
Good evening. Those 4 suspects now face first-degree murder charges, and like we've learned today, that is far from being the only charge that the suspects face. Well, meanwhile, the department is remembering 24-year-old Ariana Preston, who for the past 3 years worked out of the 5th District.
We wanted to help create a better future for Chicago, but the incomprehensible actions of 4 offenders took that future from her, and the loss to this city is tremendous.
Interim Police Superintendent Eric Carter speaking highly today of beloved Chicago police officer Ariana Preston. Travell Breland, Joseph Brooks, Jaquan Buchanan, and Jalen Frazier are charged in her shooting death, a violent crime spree that court documents show had Officer Preston as the 6th victim.
That morning, they had committed several other armed robberies and motor vehicle theft.
Police say the suspects were in a stolen red Kia Forte when they shot Preston outside of her home in Avalon Park.
Defendant Brooks stated that all the defendants were armed and that they ran up to victim 6, Officer Preston. He further admitted that the officer reached for her gun and that he shot first towards her.
We know that at least 3 of the 4 offenders exited the vehicle, and we believe that at least 2 of the offenders fired their weapon.
A nearby shot spotter picked up 9 rounds, but a source tells WGN there were no available beat cars to dispatch. About 20 minutes later, Preston's own Apple Watch dialed 911 after wrongly detecting a car crash. Preston was found more than 30 minutes after the shooting on the ground with a gunshot wound to her face and neck. Police say evidence that included boasting about the crime spree to friends led to a standoff situation in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood on Monday and the eventual arrest of the suspects.
I want to thank the community for its help in bringing closure to and justice to Ariana. And thanks to our detectives from Area 2 and the officers who worked tirelessly to identify and apprehend these individuals.
According to court documents, Officer Preston's gun was stolen at the scene, and Jalen Frazier admitted to taking that gun and then selling it. However, the whereabouts of that weapon at this time are unknown. The next court date for all suspects is May 30th. Reporting live from police headquarters, Christine Flores, WGN News.
Rest in power. That sister was about to get her master's degree in criminology, I believe. And these 4 young black men just decided they were going to be out on the streets and causing havoc. And then they were bragging about it, but I don't think they realized to the extent of what they were doing. You can't to be living this kind of life. Now, this is a disturbing story, and I have to bring this up because they are looking for this child. No one is able to find this child, and I do not know why. I mean, how savvy can he be? Anybody heard the story about the young men? Oh, I'm sorry, the 14-year-old girl who helped to set up this crime. And I think she was trying to have a 15-year-old young man taken out on the school bus. So these guys burst on the school bus to handle that business, and more came after that. So listen to this.
The terrorized mother of a school bus attack victim tells us she's trying to move her entire family out of Prince George's County. Police are searching for the alleged gunman, just 15. That teen, who police have only identified as Baby K, is charged with attempted murder as an adult. Baby K is accused of trying to shoot and kill a 14-year-old on a school bus. But that's not all. Baby K is also the suspect in the murder of a 23-year-old woman in D.C. In another twist, sources tell WUSA 9 that murdered woman was the sister of one of Baby K's alleged accomplices in the bus attack. Police are actively searching for Baby K. We learned he actually stars in a pair of YouTube videos that have been racking up views. But as our Scott Broom reports, frustrated authorities have still not caught up to him.
In Baby K's music videos, he can be seen showing off a handgun with an extended magazine. A 15-year-old still on the run tonight after allegedly trying to kill an 8th grader on a school bus in Prince George's County and accused of shooting and killing the sister of a friend just 2 days after the bus attack. And the terror out there is real. The mother of the school bus victim spoke by phone to me today and asked WUSA 9 to protect her identity as she talked about her effort to raise money to relocate her family out of town.
We're living in fear. I need to get him as far as I can from this area, and we don't ever need to come back. I just want him caught and off the streets. He is wreaking havoc. He showed me his chain, took it right off him quick.
Meanwhile, Baby K has been on YouTube all along, raps referencing carjacking and that Glock pistol. WUSA 9 has confirmed the 15-year-old is a suspect in the murder of 23-year-old Kija McCoy, who was shot in the face May 3rd inside this apartment building on Jamison Street Northeast. McCoy was the sister of a juvenile accused of being one of 2 Baby K accomplices that held the victim down during the school bus attack. The boys failed to carry out the murder because Baby K's gun jammed, authorities said. Authorities have not released Baby K's real name because of laws protecting juveniles. And WUSA 9 has not named any of the kids involved because of their juvenile status. The search for Baby K now includes U.S. Marshals. Law enforcement sources fear he may have the resources and the help to cross state lines. In Maryland, Scott Broom, WUSA 9.
This is ridiculous. Anybody, I had pulled up the scripture earlier about children being the oppressor, but I don't like to say things that I'm not quite firm on. I was trying to go back through the prior scripture to make sure that I was connecting the dots well. So the victim, 14, the mother trying to run away. But then I'm sitting here like, where are we running to? This is like that. Are we running the Africa thing too? You know, are we just running out of here? But where are we running to? Anyway, it's unbelievable. Again, the next.
19-year-old Portland father pleaded not guilty in the murder of his 4-year-old son today. Marcavius Ware is facing second-degree murder and criminal mistreatment charges. Just into our newsroom tonight, newly released court documents are unveiling more about what investigators say happened. According to a doctor who examined the child, his injuries indicated severe abuse.
And meanwhile, it was an emotional scene at the Multnomah County Justice Center this afternoon when Ware was arraigned, and that's where we find Fox 12's Adrian Thomas, who has been following this case. Adrian?
Well, Pete, Nora, the family, the boy's mother and other family member tell us the 4-year-old's name is Jordan Clay, and he died yesterday at Emmanuel Hospital. His father, Marquavius Ware, was arrested shortly after. Now, those new court documents also revealing tonight that Jordan Clay died because of blunt force trauma, and doctors who examined him said because, apart from severe bruising all over his body, he appeared to be malnourished and dehydrated. Family members we spoke with earlier today are stunned, heartbroken, and searching for answers because they say authorities could have prevented this tragedy. Marquavius Ware appeared in a Multnomah County court Thursday to face charges in the murder of his own son. The family sharing these photos of 4-year-old Jordan. His mother, Janicia Clay, says he was a sweet boy who was her best friend. One of her sisters gave an emotional statement in the courtroom.
I want justice for my nephew. The pain that my sister has been feeling, and it's only been a day. I can't even describe that.
Once Ware's future court date was set, things became heated when a boy Jordan's family say is Ware's younger brother appeared to taunt Janicia. The interaction spilled out into the streets outside the Multnomah County Justice Center, and deputies stepped in to defuse the situation. After, Jordan's mother, Janicia, spoke and explained how she allowed Jordan to go stay with Marquavius Ware on Easter Sunday, but it was the last time she saw him. She says for the past few weeks, Marquavius kept Jordan from her, and she noticed signs of abuse over a FaceTime call, which she took photos of and showed to police.
I took a FaceTime photo of his face. I noticed marks. Instantly, I called the police. They told me call non-emergency because it's his father. But I was like, he's been in my care for the last 4 years. My son is really in danger. Like, there's marks on his face.
Janicia says she tried to get Portland police involved and get a restraining order filed against Ware, but had no luck. Jordan's great-grandmother expressing outrage over how the family says authorities handled the situation.
They went to the house and told them and came back and reported that Jordan was fine, but he was not fine. We all know Jordan. He's hyper. He don't sit in one spot for a very long, ever.
Janicia and all of her family say they're hoping Ware gets the harshest penalty possible.
I want him in jail for the rest of his life. If you can't tell, he's a menace to society, okay? Folks, I need justice for my son.
And those court documents also revealing new disturbing details tonight, saying Wednesday afternoon, after Ware found Jordan Clay appearing to be having a seizure in an upstairs bathroom, Ware's younger brother called 911. The court documents also saying Ware was heard yelling at Clay the night before. Live in downtown Portland, Adrian Thomas, Fox 12 Oregon.
Very disturbing story. Adrian, thank you.
If there was anything that I could say as an older woman to these younger women, stop. You know what's going to have to come out my mouth, okay? Just stop. When you have children, and you're having children with a man that you are male, you don't know who this guy is. This young lady has now had a baby for this young man, okay? And this young man, 4 years later, who is looking so vacant in his eyes. It's so bad that even though his brother knows what has happened, his brother is walking past the family, antagonizing his nephew's mother on the loss of this child. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let us stop doing this. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand how we are throwing marriage out of the pool and all that, but we're just gonna make children, and then we're gonna have children, and then we're gonna just have them in poverty, and then we're gonna have them where the parents are so upset with one another that they're just gonna continue to keep trying to hurt one another, and then the best way to hurt them is by hurting their own child. Come on. She is now saying he's a menace to society. But when she was dating him or sleeping with him, did you know this before, my dear? These are the things that I would say as a mother. Let us just stop. If we don't know that we're in a secure relationships, and sometimes you don't even know that in a secure relationship. I'm sitting here reading a Reddit thread or going over a Reddit thread. Young family, young husband and wife, they just decided to have children 7 years after being married. 7 years after being married, he decided to ask her, "Did you baby trap me?" And then he left. They've been married for 7 years. She's thinking she's with her friend, her best friend, and he left her. And then when he didn't necessarily try to come back. His parents tried to force him to come back, but she wasn't having that. By this time, she has now filed for the divorce. The young family has now been destroyed before it can even begin, because now it's a situation of trust. Now she cannot trust him to be there because this seed has already been planted and you left. We got to be mindful. Let us not bring our children into situations like this. Let's not bring our children into situations like this. Let's make sure that when we bring our children into situations, it's the best. You know, that mother can stay home. She can educate and she can fortify that child. And you as dad, just like we watched in that hero video where that father has purchased that car and so many other things, we want to be able to make sure that we are pushing them through. We want to make sure that we are bringing forth the best and giving them everything as much as possible that they need, as much as we can help it. You understand? More baby-faced shenanigans.
Details in a triple murder investigation in Marion County. Kids, both 12 and 17, now facing murder charges.
They took a life without thought. They deserve the full extent of the law.
And tonight, another suspect, a 16-year-old, is on the run. Glad you're with us. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. Within the past 30 minutes, the sheriff's office says it is now offering a $10,000 reward that could lead them to answers and an arrest. The Marion County Sheriff's Office releasing this video showing the 12 and 17-year-olds being taken to jail. Deputies say the three suspects are behind the shooting deaths of three teens. Their bodies found on different days, not far apart. We have team coverage tonight covering these new developments. News 6's Brian Didlake is speaking with parents in the community, but we begin with News 6's Catherine Silver. Catherine.
The sheriff gave an emotional update here today, naming their suspects and what they believe might have motivated these murders. Detectives say all of these kids were associated with gangs and were involved in burglaries and robberies before three teens wound up dead.
There is no honor among thieves. And at some point, these three individuals turned on our three victims and murdered them.
Sheriff Billy Woods announcing a big breakthrough on a triple homicide case, revealing for the first time the suspects allegedly responsible for the killings of three teens are
Details in a triple murder investigation in Marion County. Kids, both 12 and 17, now facing murder charges.
Can you all? Hello? Hello? Can you all hear me? I'm not sure what just happened, but the sound went out. Thank you, Obadiah. One moment. The sound went out, so bear with me.
The details in a triple murder investigation in Marion County. Kids, both 12 and 17, now facing murder charges.
They took a life without thought. They deserve the full extent of the law.
And tonight, another suspect, a 16-year-old, is on the run. Glad you're with us. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. Within the past 30 minutes, the sheriff's office says it is now offering a $10,000 reward that could lead them to answers and an arrest. The Marion County Sheriff's Office releasing this video showing the 12 and 17-year-olds being taken to jail. Deputies say the three suspects are behind the shooting deaths of three teens. Their bodies found on different days, not far apart. We have team coverage tonight covering these new developments. News 6's Brian Didlake is speaking with parents in the community, but we begin with News 6's Catherine Silver. Catherine.
The sheriff gave an emotional update here today, naming their suspects and what they believe might have motivated these murders. Detectives say all of these kids were associated with gangs and were involved in burglaries and robberies before three teens wound up dead.
There is no honor among thieves. And at some point, these three individuals turned on our three victims and murdered them.
Sheriff Billy Woods announcing a big breakthrough on a triple homicide case, revealing for the first time the suspects allegedly responsible for the killings of three teens are also juveniles.
Because they took a life. Are y'all comprehending that?
The youngest suspect named by the sheriff's office is 12 years old. Video shows Christopher Atkins in handcuffs, along with 17-year-old Robert Robinson. Deputies say a third suspect, 16-year-old Taj Bruton, is still wanted.
They fled the scenes, but left a lot of evidence in their wake.
Newly released documents detail the physical and digital trail detectives have followed since last Thursday.
I can't give a whole lot of details because we still have one suspect out.
The sheriff declined to share specifics in a one-on-one interview with News 6, but had this to say.
The two that we have in custody confessed to the killing of our third victim.
In the documents, 17-year-old Robert Robinson reportedly told detectives he shot one of the victims because, quote, she was going to snitch on us all. Investigators believe all three teens had been in this white car belonging to 16-year-old Layla Silvernail. She was found lying on the side of the road in the Forest Lakes Park area March 30th. A 17-year-old boy was found in a separate location the next morning, and then the third victim, another 16-year-old girl, was found in Silvernail's car Saturday, partially submerged in water.
She was located in the trunk.
The sheriff says based on what witnesses heard, the victims were shot at the same time.
It breaks my heart as a father. And then when you get an incident like this, not just the victims are juveniles, but all of my suspects are juveniles. And it's like you cry, you want to cry.
Now the sheriff says they're...
Imagine. And no. Do not imagine. For those of us who are parents, do you see how mortified those boys look as they are taking them into the jail? They look scared to me. My child is almost mid-30s. When I hug them, it feels like I'm holding the same little child that I had. I cannot imagine when you get to this point, you cannot hold your child anymore. They are behind bars. They are in a different situation. They are in a situation that could have never prepared them for what they are about to go into. Can you imagine? Don't imagine. It's hurtful. It's hurtful to continue to keep seeing this.
A Jacksonville father is reacting after an arrest was made in connection to his son's death. 17-year-old Darian Mixon was identified as a suspect in a March 1st double fatal shooting inside an Arlington apartment. One of the victims was identified as 20-year-old Cravon Aiken. He's the half-brother of Kamaya Mobley, who was kidnapped as a baby and raised by her kidnapper in another state. News for Jax reporter Eric Avignon is joining us now live from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, where officers formally announced Mixon as a suspect.
Well, Mixon was already in custody on other felony charges when he went before a judge here at J1 earlier this afternoon, and to answer for the new charges connected to this double homicide. Now, the father of one of those victims was in the courtroom today and says he's having a hard time accepting the fact that the suspect in this case is just a kid.
Crayvon was an outgoer. He's a fun guy.
And he lost his life to gun violence back on March 1st. It happened inside an apartment inside this apartment complex on Fort Caroline Road. Aiken and another man identified as Devon Taylor were found shot to death. Aiken's father says the two victims were best friends who grew up together. He also says that although he does not have all the facts about the case, he's certain about one thing.
The suspect was in the house with him, and my son was asleep.
On Tuesday, just 2 months after the bodies were discovered, JSO announced the arrest of 17-year-old Darian Mixon in connection to their murder. Mixon was already in custody on charges of grand theft and illegal possession of a firearm by a juvenile delinquent. Those charges were related to the shooting incident after a witness who was in the apartment told police she saw a young man steal a vehicle in the parking lot after she heard 6 gunshots. Aiken's father says he's relieved that police were able to get statements from the witness.
It was a somewhat, like I said, a blessing to have somebody still survive around that situation, because they were also in the house and they could have been killed themselves.
Aiken is also dealing with the fact that the suspect in this double homicide case is only 17 years old.
We just got to protect our kids and watch our kids, talk to our kids, and try to understand our kids, because they need us to save them. I hope my story can save the next child, whether it's the gunman or the person that got shot. We're still losing kids out here.
Now, earlier today,
Insanity. What are we doing? And top to bottom, or positive to something that you were saying with regard to the news, you said, remember when the news was teaching people how to cook crack? I have not seen that news report. I wouldn't be interested, but I'd be shocked. But I believe you. And I'm sitting here, remember when I was going over the information previously in the CIA Contra crack cocaine controversy? It is telling you that in a review of this, it's amazing how the first name that they decide to put out there is Rick Ross, calling him a delusion 19-year-old. But to make sure that you knew how this tied in, because let us think, if you get a chance to go back over Hillary Clinton's little speech where she brings up super predators, and she said you can find out how these super predators got how they did then, how they got like they did. We can worry about that later, she said. In here, they mention Rick Ross. He's 19 years old, but somehow he had the power, because it says the series claim that Ross's rise in the drug world was made possible by Oscar Danilo Blandin and Norwin Meneses, 2 individuals with ties to the Fuerza Democrático Nicaraguasin, whoever, FDN, a group comprised of the Nicaraguan Contras. Blandin, Meneses reportedly sold tons of cocaine to Ross, who in turn converted it to crack and sold it in the Black communities of South Central Los Angeles. So you have children here who do not have much, let's just say, and they decide, because you put it in there, okay? You put it in our community. You brought it to us. You use these people. Then you want to turn around and you are now the mediator, the instigator, and the mediator. You put it in our communities with a particular purpose. so that we would get rid of us. You'll never get rid of us. Ever. Ever, ever, never, never, ever, ever, never, never, ever, ever. Okay? This is just how it is. There will always be us. Everything will happen. Your world will turn or come to its demise because of us. Always know that. Okay? It just amazes me how y'all put his name out there in the front, and this is what you use to tie it up, because Hillary Clinton was saying, because these people are in connection with all of these other people, the drug traffickers and stuff that's going on, and just like the United States government. Imagine how we all felt when we found out that ecstasy came out of a United States government lab. Do you deny that? Who created that? And you created it for the soldiers. You created it for the soldiers. The people who serve your country. Is that true? I'm just asking. 12 and 17 years old. 12 and 17 years old. Take a look at your babies. Take a look at your babies. I pray that nothing like this ever befalls them, and they have a lot to fight out there. This is horrifying.
A Jacksonville father is reacting after an arrest was made in connection.
The family of a 19-year-old shot and killed late last month laid that young woman to rest today.
And one of the teens charged with killing her was out of custody at the time for allegedly killing another woman more than a year ago. Her family tells our Bill Miston the suspect shouldn't have been out in the first place, right, Bill?
Mary and Ted, 17-year-old Rashawn Seabury was released from custody on a signature bond last month. Confined to his home on GPS before the month was over, though, he's accused of shooting and killing Camiana Funchess outside his own home. And Funch's death hits too close to home for family of another woman who Seabury is accused of shooting and killing last year.
Let's go get my bike.
This is Trinity. She's 4 years old, going on 5, as she's sure to tell you.
Without this little girl right here, she keep me going.
For Virginia and Leandre Speed, so much of Trinity reminds them of their daughter, Jasmine Brown.
She just got a sweet spirit, just like my daughter.
The 26-year-old was shot and killed near 5th and Melvina back in April 2021.
My daughter's supposed to be here raising her daughter.
17-year-old Rashawn Seabury, then 16, was charged with shooting and killing Brown. Prosecutors said he stood through a car's moonroof and shot a rifle to, quote, clear a path, and hit Brown as she dropped off a friend after a night out. His brother, 25-year-old Angelo McCaleb, was also charged in connection to the case. He's a material witness for the state, but can't be found, so the trial was put on hold.
Mr. Seabury was out on bail for another homicide charge that had a pending speeding trial that we could not meet, so his bail on that case was reduced
to a $30,000 signature bond. He was released on home confinement last month and on GPS monitoring at his home on Long Island Drive. It was there on May 31st. Prosecutors said 3 women were making rounds to graduation parties when they wanted to surprise 3 friends at a house there on North Long Island Drive. Filings say as they pulled up to the home, gunfire erupted. An 18-year-old woman was injured. A 19-year-old woman, Camiana Funchess, was killed. 18-year-old Omarion McNeely, Funch's boyfriend, 17-year-old Dalen Bridges, and 17-year-old Rashawn Seabury charged in the case. Prosecutors said the 3 thought the car was suspicious, so they started shooting. In total, at least 24 bullets at the car. Police say at least 16 fired by Seabury.
To hurt somebody else?
This hurt me to the core.
The Speeds infuriated.
I'm glad he got caught, but I'm sad that he had to do something else like that to get put back in jail.
I feel sorry for him. I pray for him, but I just want justice for my daughter. I need peace. I need peace.
And it may be some time before any type of peace comes. That jury trial for Brown's case is scheduled to go forward in August. Now, these 3 teens are scheduled to appear back in court next.
Mama's skin looks like porcelain. Okay, it was beautiful. This is ridiculous. This is a constant state of shenanigans, but to clear a path. It just seems like what I'm starting to see more and more are people are actually just deciding, hey, you know what? I'm going to see how disrespectful and foolish that I can absolutely get. And it doesn't stop there. I want to talk about our gangs and our constables. Okay?
We told the world and game over, as if he wanted to show. But now that we talking about that homosexual act that they did in that group, what are they doing? What are they doing? He brought his gay ass back over this time, didn't he? He can't address this. You understand? Read it again. It's fight! It's fight! It's fight! It's fight! The Courier and press also reported that George Lewis, using the name had now been Israel, has been connected. He was connected with who? With the Israel, with the what? With the Israel, with the what? With the Israel united in Christ. Now what you gonna say about that? Now them sisters gotta pack up and leave. You better not move! You better not move! You better not move! I got police!
I hate to say that I could watch that all day because I can't. This is sad. What was even worse was looking at that until the very end and seeing how they were held down until the police came. For what? For what? You want us to follow you and honor you for what? You're here recruiting for what? For what? None of you look like brothers when you're sitting here on opposite sides of the street, sitting here screaming and doing this other shenanigans that you're doing. For what? And you want my respect for what? Because you respect each other? For what? Just for what? Embarrassing. 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 I wonder how many of you talked about that today. This is nothing. When I look at you all, it is nothing that I want to be mixed up with at all. At all. And I'm just being honest. You won't like it. You won't care. And you'll stand out and call us out by our names, but call us all out of our names. No. This was just completely, you all can't even respect each other. I'm just saying.
Did he ask you to leave? He did? He did? Can you understand me? Don't say nothing. Hey, we didn't tell you to stop walking. Let's go, boss. Put your hand back here. All right.
Man, stop.
Give me your hand.
Stop.
Give me your hand or you'll get it again. Give me your hand.
Stop, man.
Put your hand behind your
back. Man, stop, man.
I got
your hand behind your back. Man, stop, man.
Hey, 5, 4, 3.
It's gonna hurt like that.
your hands behind your back now. Put your hands behind your back. Both of them, you finna get it again. Both of them, you gonna get it again. Ah! Let's go. Hands behind your back. Man, stop. 10-4, man, we still working with them right now. That's why we call for some additional units. But yes, Taser has been deployed. He's fighting all units out here while he's in the cuffs, possibly high off PC or something.
But after that, I used everything I had. After that, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't think about this. I was like, shit, now my arms are noodles. But it was funny seeing the feet in there. The cuff? HLV. Oh, no, he did.
Get up.
Hold on.
Wasn't responding, wasn't compliant, and strong as an ox.
Dilated or what?
Well, then y'all saw who that brother was talking to. He wasn't compliant. He was asked to leave the hotel. And they lit him up quite a few times with that. And I don't know how many of you have seen this new thing that they're going to be using now from now on, as opposed to the taser. I don't know when it's going to be at every police department. So they'll probably act like it's strong, very slow moving, but they now have something that's like a rope. If you've ever seen Scooby-Doo or anything like that, and they just, press a little button and a rope comes out, flies out, and captures the criminal. It wraps around them a couple of times. I don't know how many of you have seen that, but that is my understanding of what is supposed to be replacing the taser. The young man, Moshe, the young man, and thank you so much, Obadiah. The young man that you see being arrested, I believe that his name is, hold on just one second. Wait a minute. It's going to come up in here. Bear with me. Muriel.
New video shows the encounter between Keith Muriel and 3 former Jackson police officers who are now charged in connection to his death. 12 News' Leah Williams is live at Jackson Police Headquarters. And Leah, what can you tell us?
Byron, Keith Muriel died on New Year's Eve in what officers originally called a medical emergency. Well, now body camera footage of the encounter has been released. Now, we want to warn you that the video could be graphic to some viewers.
Left arm. Give me your left arm.
All right. 3 former JPD officers involved were indicted by a grand jury last week. James Land was charged with manslaughter and is out on a $75,000 bond. Kenya McCarty was charged with second-degree murder and is out on a $150,000 bond. And Avery Willis was also charged with second-degree murder but hasn't been arrested yet. Jackson Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba has been an advocate for the release of the video but says it wasn't released sooner because they wanted to make sure the investigation was complete and make sure his family saw the video first.
Acknowledge his humanity and the individual that he was, and the tragic loss that will be shared amongst his family, much different than the rest of us. We are on the side of justice and want to see justice take place.
We strive at the Jackson Police Department to create community trust. When we fail, we create community distrust.
JPD's interim chief Joseph Wade says there will be transparency and accountability within the department moving forward. Now, this news comes just a week after former police chief James Davis announced his retirement, but Mayor Lumumba says his retirement is not related to this investigation. Live in Jackson, Leah Williams, 12 News.
Leah, That hair is laid, girl.
Third former Jackson police officer who was indicted in the death of Keith Muriel turned himself in today. Avery Willis is being held at the Hinds County Detention Center in Raymond. Muriel died in Jackson police custody on New Year's Eve. Officers initially said his death was a medical emergency. Willis was indicted along with Kenya McCarty and James Land last week. Hinds County District Attorney Jody Owens said that McCarty and Willis have been charged with second-degree murder, and Land has been charged with manslaughter.
Because he thought that was so funny. If you remember what he said in the very first video, it was funny seeing his legs all up in the air. And then the white guy was saying, and he was as strong as an ox. Okay, he was as strong as an ox. Did that make him one that you all sat here and deployed that taser like 3 different times? Right, Moshe, right. Protect and serve is only meant for the complexion, the protection, or the connection. I'm sitting here again. Moshe, you would probably know this. Just let me know. I don't know how long you have today, but listen. You saw those new things that they're using now where they don't have the they don't have to use the taser. They have these prongs that shoot out and they capture the criminal. I mean, y'all seen Scooby-Doo. Don't act like I'm the only one who has ever watched Scooby-Doo, okay? Or some superhero content where you shoot out something and it's a rope and it ties up around the person really quickly and it just ties them up. Moshe, I know you saw this. You normally will see stuff like that. But anyway, this thing is pretty, and it's so quick. It doesn't even matter how far apart your legs are. If you're running, I'm trying to figure out, like, how are they going to do it if you're running? But it looked like when they shoot this thing, it deploys, the rope ties up really quickly around the legs, and then they don't have to use the taser. Yeah, it's like a lasso. Exactly. It shoots out and automatically ties them up. It's amazing. But anyway, my thought still here is, why was it so funny to that brother? I gave him everything that I had. If you all go through your training and you know what that feels like, I don't know what that feels like. He might be as strong as an ox, but again, he was a human. Granted, we can be superhuman because we are us, but y'all always act like we are like Iron Man, like we're just gonna push ourselves up from the ground and fly all the way out in the air, and you got to shoot us in order to catch it. Don't do that. But you keep doing it. You keep doing it, please. I'm sitting here like, why would this black cop feel like he could do something like that and laugh? They seemed like they hit him like 3 times, and he didn't look like he was falling ill, because when he was turning over, he looked like his life was leaving his body to me then. Never ceased to amaze me. And what was so funny about that? So you now have this conversation, and you actually thought that this is funny. And now look what's happened. Now you're being charged with manslaughter. Ought we laugh now? Is that funny? This man is gone. Let's see what our police women are out here doing, y'all.
New tonight at 11, 2 Detroit police officers have been charged with felony home invasion after breaking into the home of another police officer in Macomb County. Our Kelly Vaughn has been following this story, and she joins us in studio tonight with the details. This seems like a very unusual case.
Yeah, that's exactly what prosecutors say. So the county prosecutor says 3 women, 2 of whom are police officers, are facing charges for allegedly breaking into the Roseville home of another officer and destroying things in his home, as well as stealing his property. Now, the women are each facing 15-year felony charges for second-degree home invasion. That's along with other charges. Now, the allegations are that on April 11th, 29-year-old Detroit police officer Brianna Cabano, 21-year-old officer Dana Sears, and then a third woman, Colleen Compton, who is not a police officer, broke into the home of the other Detroit police officer. Now, Macomb County prosecutor Peter Lucido says no one is above the law.
The best word I can describe it is, it starts to violate that which we've all learned, which is police officers are supposed to serve and protect. But in this case, they're charged in a case. And now they have to deal with their own internal, which is the Detroit Police Department.
Now, we did reach out to the Detroit Police Department, and they told us in a statement that the officers are currently suspended with pay, but the chief has recommended that they be suspended without pay following these criminal charges. Now, all three women are scheduled to be in court Wednesday, June 14th, for their first preliminary hearing.
Kelly, do we know by any means why these police officers did this?
No, not yet. That information wasn't revealed by the prosecutors, and police aren't talking about that yet at this point, but that's something we'll learn more in the probable cause hearing when they present that information to the judge, and then he decides if they have enough to move forward, enough evidence to move forward, or they can decide to throw out the case. So we'll be learning more details then.
All right, Kelly, thank you.
Facing 15 years. Okay, 15 years felony rap. And thank you to my brother. Okay, Obadiah, I want to make sure I'm saying this right. He is stating that that was called the item that I was talking about where they shoot out the rope. You know what? That's scary because it seemed like everybody now gets their hands on the same stuff the police get their hands on. You imagine you're just at the grocery store. It's late at night. You shouldn't even be out there anyway. And then all of a sudden, pew, somebody shoots that thing that just wraps up around you. Imagine. But that's what it's called. That's better. That bowler wrap is better than them utilizing the what you call that thing? Those electric shock waves, those tasers. You are right. You are definitely right. Positive. Okay, overseers can be worse than the oppressor. It puts you in the mind. Y'all remember the movie Life? Don't try to act like I'm the only one that ever saw the movie Life, because I know you saw it too. Okay, and that little guy that was sitting there while they were talking there, taking their minds. And remember, they were all at Ray's boom boom room. Okay, and that little guy just got up and ruined the whole thing for them. And I really loved the idea of Ray's boom boom room. I was a little upset when he just burst into the dream and just tore it up. But they clown out even more, or even Steven from Django. We always, you know what? Let me stop. These Steven types, these overseers, they're like little tyrants. It's too much. You know what? Let's talk about the government. The government. The government. Okay? Because I saw something funny this week and I couldn't stop laughing. This guy is crazy. Okay? Do y'all remember at the height of Giuliani's career? Does anybody, and walk with me, please, walk with me through this time. Do you remember when 9/11 had happened, and I think there was somebody that was offering money to them to rebuild there at ground zero, and he got upset because they said something like, do you now see like where the Muslim community is coming from, because they were claiming that these guys were the Muslim community and etc. that took those planes and went into that building. And I was like, all of this is still crazy to me, because it just seems to me that if I ran a plane into the top of a building, and keep in mind a building is tall, but twice the amount of that foundation should be up underneath that building. I've always wondered, how did the building just come down and crash like that? outside of the fact that, is it possible? I don't know. Did you all have explosives already set up in the buildings? Because I don't even see how that was possible. I just don't. Even if that plane just flew in at the top of the building, like why would something like that happen? It was. I agree with you. I agree with you completely. Positive. I'm going back and forth. Positive, top to bottom. I believe it was a demolition as well. I never, it's like it was just too much foolishness that was going on with that because, again, as tall as those buildings were, they would have had twice the amount, at least, as I understand it, as a firm foundation in there. So I just find that hard to believe. And so Giuliani comes out looking like a complete hero because he stood up to this person by not accepting their money for ground zero. But Giuliani, I don't watch this dude named Borat. I don't watch that. But when I saw that scene where this lady was acting like, I guess she was going to, zip down his pants as he laid across the bed. I think that's the nicest way I can say it. I was amazed that he was just so willing, like without a care in the world, to the fact that he was Rudy Giuliani. And shall we add super predator to the end of that? What say ye?
Stunning allegations today against former New York City mayor and advisor to then President Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani. A former employee is suing him for $2 million in unpaid wages, alleging that while she worked as his business development director, he coerced her into having sex. And she says she has proof. In her only television interview, she spoke exclusively with Inside Edition's Ann Mercogliano. And we should warn you, some of what she has to say may not be appropriate for younger viewers.
She's the Ivy League graduate making bombshell accusations against Rudy Giuliani.
There was a lot of pressure to be Rudy's girlfriend as well as his staffer.
Noelle Dunphy just filed a $10 million lawsuit claiming Giuliani sexually exploited her and failed to pay her when she says she was his director of business development from 2019 to 2021.
Was this a working relationship that turned into romance? I mean, was it a consensual romantic relationship?
We did get involved romantically, but I knew what could happen if I said no. I could lose my job. There's high pay, White House access. It's exciting. And then there's this obligation or pressure to also be physical.
The 43-year-old says they worked out of his Manhattan apartment and that 78-year-old Giuliani often demanded that she work naked, in a bikini, or in short shorts.
It quickly turned into a requirement for keeping my job.
She claims that Giuliani demanded intimacy while on the phone with clients, including President Trump.
When Rudy was on legal calls with President Trump, he required and expected me to be pleasing him during his calls with President Trump. After the calls, Rudy would want to be with me physically and have me address Rudy as Mr. President.
Dunphy spoke to Inside Edition in January. In her blockbuster lawsuit, she attaches this text message purportedly from Giuliani. "Good morning, my love. Tried to call," Giuliani writes. "Let me quickly shower. Can I shower with you?" He replies. He was in the midst of a messy divorce from his wife, Judith, and allegedly wanted to keep their relationship quiet.
I was asked to be a secret employee. I was not on the books.
Instead of a steady paycheck, she says Giuliani gave her the occasional $5,000 cash payment.
I said, "Can't you finally make me official as your employee?" And he said, "No, because Judith will know, his wife would know that I was his type and that I'm being paid at the company."
Giuliani's lawyer says he unequivocally denies the allegations.
He's denying all of the allegations, and he's saying you never worked for him?
One of the things Rudy liked to talk about, aside from sex, was his ability to lie. So am I surprised that Rudy is lying again? I can't say I'm surprised, but it still hurts. It's scary to take on a powerful man, but I know I'm telling the truth 100%, and I know I have so much evidence that is black and white that there's no way that the truth doesn't get out.
Sorry. Y'all, I want to laugh like Sharsham so bad. I was in here practically screaming. Ew. I mean, let me run up on this mic one more time and say, ew. He reminds me. He gives me the vibes of a baby gorilla. Don't touch my body. Just don't do it. Just don't touch me. Yuck. This woman has an Ivy League education, y'all. Listen to me. This woman has an Ivy League education. Sure. I wanna laugh. I wish, you know what, I'm gonna get you on a sound bite. That's what I want. I'm gonna get you on a sound bite, just going, whatever the laugh is that you do. Okay, because that's how I'm feeling, like, yuck. I'm sorry, let me stay with the mic. It's so disgusting. I'm holding my temples, y'all. It's just disgusting. He made her wear short shorts, and a bikini or work naked. And did you? Yuck! I feel nasty. What is he like? 4'2"? Does he not look like a baby gorilla? I'm just being honest. Like, his teeth look wooden and everything. And he is doing this to her and gave her the occasional $5,000. And she's talking about it's White House access. It's just so exciting. How exciting can it be going to the White House working with, I was about to say Joe Biden. Really, just, what is it? What? And she said it's hard to take on a powerful man. He doesn't look so powerful. He just doesn't look so powerful. Yuck. Again, super predators. And that wasn't all. That wasn't even all. Here we are.
Trump ally Rudy Giuliani is the target of a new lawsuit accusing him of sexual assault, harassment, wage theft, and other misconduct. And they're asking for $10 million in damages. The woman who filed the suit says she worked for the former New York mayor for nearly 2 years and claims that he offered her the job, quote, as a pretext to develop a quid pro quo sexual relationship. Giuliani's spokesperson says he unequivocally denies these allegations. Elaine Quijano has more on this story.
The wide-ranging lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani was filed in a New York court Monday. In it, plaintiff Noelle Dunphy claims Giuliani offered her a job in January 2019 as his director of business development with a salary of $1 million a year, but said he'd have to defer her pay and keep her employment secret until he finished divorce proceedings with his now ex-wife. Over the nearly 2 years that followed, Dunphy claims Giuliani paid her almost exclusively in cash, made clear that satisfying his sexual demands was an absolute requirement of her employment, forced her to perform a variety of sexual acts, and breached their alleged business agreement. Dunphy claims to have recorded many of her interactions with Giuliani, including one where she says he told her, "I've wanted you from the day I interviewed you." Attorney Justin Kelton represents her.
She alleges that on several occasions she objected clearly, that he did not respect those objections.
The lawsuit also alleges Giuliani, a personal attorney to then-President Trump, told Dunphy Trump's team would claim there was voter fraud if he lost the 2020 election. In another instance, Giuliani allegedly said he was selling pardons for $2 million, which he and President Trump would split. There has been no proof of voter fraud in that election, nor evidence that Giuliani or the former president were ever compensated for pardons during his time in office. CBS News has reached out for comment from the former president, but has not heard back. In a statement, a spokesperson for Giuliani said he denies the allegations and will pursue all available remedies and counterclaims. In response, Dunphy's lawyer said in part that Giuliani, quote, will have to answer to materials and recorded statements that will be presented at trial. CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman.
The real evidence in this case for this complaint to move forward has to be in the recordings. Because if it's not in the recordings, it does hit the line of being so over the top that you wonder if it's all true or if none of it is true. And that's going to be the defendant's argument.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Elaine Quijano.
I'm sorry. Ugh, not even if I was dead for 132 years and mummified. Do you hear me? Not even if I had turned to dust. Don't touch me. Yeah. Listen. These are the same people that are sitting here talking like they're so holy. Does anybody remember this? Listen, answer me now. Answer me. Does anybody remember when Giuliani was divorcing his wife? And I'm thinking this woman played on Law and Order. And then he was marrying the wife, Judith. He had them both living in the governor's mansion. Does anybody remember that? That was a whole big fight. He wanted her out of there, and that lady was taking her time with that divorce. He had his family. Keep in mind now, these are the folks that are sitting here telling you how to live righteous. Okay? Ugh, not the 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah. Let's save that for the sexy. Let's save that. I don't even know anything about that. But whenever you see the people, they're more young and taught. And he's more old and gorilla-like. So let's save that. All right, Moshe, have a great day. I'm just saying, he was married and divorcing and moved this new wife into the governor's mansion with his old wife, who was also in the governor's mansion. And she was an actress. And this woman with this Ivy League education, women, you got to do better. With this Ivy League education, you mean to sit here and tell me she sat there and she listened to that? He could not put you on his payroll, and you had to work in a bikini or naked or in these very short shorts that had the American flag on it. And then when he was on the phone, you had to please him and you had to call him Mr. President, which he will never be. Is that what we're saying? You have an Ivy League education, ma'am. An Ivy League, really? What is happening here? These are super predators. Okay? These are things that they were doing. And if you don't believe me, let's listen to Martin. Okay?
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
Did we? Quite frankly, I would be nerve-wracked if we did. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just listening to reports this week and found out that how they even charge us taxes. So our ancestors have been enslaved in this country, and then they mainly assign a number of black people, I think, odd numbers, and white people get the even numbers for your social security numbers. Now, that's not saying that this is happening each and every time, but this is the main assignment. Okay. And we are generally paying more in taxes where they are not. If you have not seen that report, I believe that Lisa Cabrera had also put that information out, but consider that. Looking at that, not only that, I can remember seeing little shorts and videos of where there was a young black lady, and she worked for a lot of rich white people, that she was a caregiver. And she said she could not understand how they were living in mansions paying $30 for electricity. Meanwhile, some of us were barely having our head above water in little one-bedroom apartments, and we were paying $200 and $300 for electricity. So our ancestors were enslaved, and they have found a way to make sure that we take care of them no matter what. In every situation, just being black, you are paying for the upkeep of everyone else. And I just don't understand it, even when I think about the CRT, and I don't want my kids to believe. No, your kids may not be being held down because of their color, but there is always something that's going on around it. I'm just saying, consider that. If it were not so, the world would be much easier for them to move around in. But that's the situation. Okay? That was Martin Luther King talking about reparations. And he was talking about what was actually going on. Now, I'm giving you some history here. What say ye, Malcolm?
I would like to point this out, Mr. Rustin. If you have 100 people who work for you for nothing for a week, you make a profit. If you have 1 million people who work for you for nothing for a year, you become wealthy. Well, then when you have millions of black people whom you can work for nothing for 310 years, you can easily see why America became the wealthiest and the most powerful country on earth faster than any country in history. But here you have 20 million black people today whose parents were worked for 310 years for nothing. What do they have coming for them? Not only did their parents work 310 years for nothing like an animal, but their parents also were the most faithful soldiers that the master had. What payment have they gotten? And today, they're not asking for much. They're not asking for what someone else would ask. Instead of asking for something that's real, they're asking their master to let them occupy one of the rooms in his house, or one of the rooms with him in his house. Now, this is still not asking for something. If America gave the black man here half of this country, they wouldn't be giving us anything. They work our mothers and fathers for 310 years with no pay. The the Congress and the U.S. Supreme Court found it necessary to appropriate funds to repay billions of dollars to the Indians for land that was taken from the Indians 300 or 400 years ago. And if this generation of whites will recognize a debt incurred by the former generations of whites to the former generations of Indians, then this same generation of whites also must recognize debts incurred by the former generations of white to your and my forefathers. And if their own courts decree that they should pay the Indian today for what was done to the former generations of Indians, don't you think that God is more just than the court system of America? And if the court system of America says that the Indians must be paid, what do you think God would say that America must do in payment to 20 million black people who worked here for nothing for 310 years?
What would he say, Mr. Ruspin? What would he say? What would he say? Y'all. What would he say? These are the people that we are dealing with, the Ruspins. And we actually have people who are just nothing more than, in our political scheme of everything, black talking heads. Isn't that amazing? Black talking heads, and that's all they are. Black talking heads. They're not standing up for us. They're not standing with us. I actually I was thinking about this, going, how many of our people are going to get back out there and vote? And look, if you all are going out there to vote and etc., no one can stop you. We are just really in a place, that is the Babylonian system, part of it. Let them put their own names on their own people. There's nothing that we can do to stop the prophecies that are coming. But whatever you wish, it is your option. Okay? This segment, Brute Beast and Silly Women. Let's take a look.
$750,000?
That's correct.
A man accused of stabbing a woman and stuffing her in a container flips out and then flips off the judge. This guy, furious that his bond was $750,000. Meanwhile, the victim here is lucky to be alive. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brian Duffy.
And I'm Tiffany Tucker. 19 News cameras were rolling as that suspect went off in court today. Our Sia New Yorker has been on this story from the very beginning. She joins us live now from the Justice Center with new details on this horrific case. Sia, I don't think I've ever seen anybody flip off a judge like that.
Tiffany and Brian, this case has made headlines all around the world. Delonte Edmund Geiger Sr. is charged with attempted murder and other felony crimes related to the torture of the 6-year-old woman. And get this, even though he pled not guilty today at his first appearance, he actually confessed to those crimes to police earlier this month. Cleveland police say officers made the gruesome discovery at Edmund Geiger's home near West 97th and Lorraine after they were tipped off by a woman who said the man showed her photos of the victim tied up in the basement. After searching the house twice, officers say they heard what sounded like a heavy object being dragged across the front porch and moaning calls for help. That's when police say they found a woman stuffed and folded inside of a 3x3 plastic container, her body motionless with the lid sealed. Miraculously, officers say the woman was still alive and told them she was paralyzed and in pain. She was taken to Metro Health with life-threatening injuries. Edmund Geiger Sr. was arrested and charged, booked into jail on $500,000 bond. Monday morning, he pled not guilty to the charges and took issue with the fact that the judge raised his bond.
$750,000?
That's correct, and there's also a probation hold.
Well, okay, can y'all lift the hold and at least let me try to post bond? I don't think nobody in the courtroom got $750,000.
You'll have to speak with the judge assigned to this case, which is Judge Holly Gillard.
I'm about to fire. I need a new judge. I need a site judge and everything. That's crazy. Why y'all upping my bond?
And when the judge didn't reply to him, he flipped her off. His next court date has not been set. As for that survivor, last we heard she was at Metro Health on a ventilator, but at this time, 19 News has not been able to get an update on her condition. But like many of us, Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Michael Malley is praying for her recovery. Reporting live at the Justice Center, Sia New Yorker, 19 News.
That is really a troubling story. Sia, thank you so much.
I'm trying to understand. So y'all went to this house, y'all talked to that dude, and when you did, later on you heard somebody moaning and crying for help, and you heard something being dragged across the floor. Now, she said she was paralyzed and in pain. Who was dragging the tote? Was she just that strong that she did that? And she was, this is confusing to me. But just the fact that somebody decided they were going to stuff somebody up in a tote, and then they thought, like, why are you up in my bond? Like, did you hear him say, like, why are you up in my bond? Like, are you for real, sir? I don't even, you don't deserve, no. Are you for real? Are you for real? And we ought to just let you out. When I tell y'all the times are getting crazy, we have to stay on guard. Okay? This is one story, because when I did the constables, I should have also done the gangs along with them. But I want you to pay attention to this, because amazingly, what I wound up trying to find when I was looking this guy up, this is a story straight out of New York. Okay? When I was looking this guy up, would you believe this guy is a drill rapper? Guess who he had a conversation with, I believe, before all of this happened? Let's just guess. Culture. Vlad TV. I'm not posting Vlad, but let's listen to this, okay?
All right, we're going to pivot now to some breaking news. This morning, Chef G, the man widely considered to be the leader of Brooklyn's drill rap music scene, is in handcuffs along with more than 30 other alleged gang members. And our own Lisa Evers was there as the arrests happened. She is joining us now from Brooklyn with the exclusive details. Take it away, Lisa.
Well, Chris, we're here at the 77th Precinct in Crown Heights, where suspects in this case, including popular drill rapper Chef G, were taken into custody. Now, investigators say they allegedly used proceeds from drill music to fund gang activities, like paying and putting bounties on the heads of their rivals and rewarding their own members who obeyed their commands. Now, early this morning, we were the only media allowed in on the tactical briefing of more than 200 NYPD members of the NYPD's Gun Violence Suppression Division and warrant squads. After a nearly 5-year investigation, their task was to take into custody more than 30 alleged gang members being charged with murder and attempted murder and a dozen non-fatal shootings. Here's Chief Jason Savino.
Today, a tray, 32 subjects. Now think about that, 32 subjects. We could have made this case 200-300 people. Make no mistake about it. But it's focused, it's strategic, it addresses the right people. You know, you look at those 32 individuals, 24 of them are being charged with attempted murder or worse.
Now, Chef G, along with 2 other alleged members, were brought out of the 77th Precinct this morning in handcuffs to be taken to central booking. Other alleged members were also brought into custody in what police say was a focused investigation into the most violent shooters who terrorized residents in public places. About half the shootings were bystanders hit by stray bullets. Here's Sergeant Calvin Fergus.
These guys are, very iconic in the streets. They're like folklores. Everybody looks up to these guys. So
You know, it's a shame that they're using this platform, you know, the music platform, to actually, you know, carry out, you know, a negative message. When I say negative message, you know, I'm not talking about the music, it's what they're actually doing, you know, as a result. You know, they're actually committing crimes and actually really hurting people out there.
Now, I asked the NYPD officers and brass if they are targeting drill rappers, and they say absolutely not. They're going after those individuals who they say are committing these violent acts. Now, at this hour, Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez is announcing this case and all of the charges against them. Obviously, it's still developing. We'll have many more details for you in the full story on the Fox 5 News at 5. We're live in Crown Heights. I'm Lisa Evers, Fox 5 News. Chris, back to you in the studio.
Wow.
I don't know how many of you have ever had the opportunity, the wonderful opportunity of ever even listening to drill rap. Is the mysticism of it all just bypassing me? I don't get it. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what's going on. Hey Weez. Hey Yashraya. What's going on, y'all? Shalom. Yeah, I don't understand. It just seems like a bunch of back and forth shenanigans. And it's enough to wage little mini street wars. But I don't get it, but whatever it is, the message, these kids know what it is, but it's whatever it is bringing about some more danger than we could have ever expected before. Now we saw why there was such a grandiose move to get our hip hop, our beloved, hip hop that we loved, that, was turning into what kind of, just funny initially. And then you went into this conscientious thing. And now we're in a place where we just completely got it removed. Let us just get our children. Let's get their children. That's what they say, because we are not the ones who are funding this. Let's get them and their children to pronounce curses all over themselves by singing this stuff out loud and singing it repetitively. Repetitively. I'm not shocked. This is a witchcraft laden place.
Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez says his office took down dozens of suspected gang members. Prosecutors say the gang members were responsible for shootings that injured innocent people. CBS 2's Hannah Klieger reports on the alleged link between the violence and rappers.
More than 24 alleged gang members are responsible for at least 12 shootings across Brooklyn, according to the district attorney's office. The spate of violence was allegedly driven by a popular Brooklyn drill rapper, 24-year-old Michael Williams, also known as Chef G, and his protege, 23-year-old Tegan Chambers, also a rapper known as Sleepy Hollow.
We learned that Chef G encouraged shootings, often by offering money or jewelry, by hosting extravagant affairs and using rap songs to help hype up fellow gang members.
Prosecutors say the musicians encouraged and facilitated the violence, which was driven by rivalries between two competing gangs.
I strongly believe that TikTok is a ticking bomb when it continues to use and exploit inner city conflicts to promote violence.
The indictment alleges that the 8 Trope Crips and 9 Ways gangs stockpiled guns and used stolen cars. One of the main catalysts for the takedown was a mass shooting in October 2020, where prosecutors say they used a stolen vehicle to open fire on a group, killing 1 and injuring 5 others.
We utilize our next level precision policing policies and address the trigger pullers, those few individuals, as the mayor alluded to earlier, that make it downright hazardous for all the great people in our community.
On April 6, 2021, prosecutors say several of the men fired on a rival in broad daylight, hitting 2 innocent bystanders. The NYPD says 25 of the defendants are currently in custody, and they're still searching for the remaining 7. In downtown Brooklyn, Hannah Klieger, CBS 2 News.
Amazing. I'm trying to understand what is the lore. But again, I'm still remembering that this guy just got done speaking to Vlad TV, And the next thing, this.
All right, Erica, we'll check in with you in a few minutes. In the meantime, shots fired in anger and with absolutely no thought as to who might get hit. The terrifying case of road rage. The same week, another driver was killed. This one opening fire with children nearby. 19 News getting video of the terrifying close call for kids. Our Winnie Dortch picks up the story from there.
Thankfully, no one was injured, but this happened in broad daylight right outside of this bar. Several children were on the corner on their bikes. One of them even ran for cover. A scary and dangerous situation at the corner of West 104th and Madison Avenue. Watch this. Police say that's the real Cromedy. He can be seen shooting at another car. The 34-year-old doesn't seem to care who is around because at that exact moment, 3 children were also at the corner riding their bikes.
104 Madison, 3 shots heard.
But what led up to him pulling out a gun? Cromedy was on West 104th Street coming up to Madison Avenue. At the intersection, a second car turned in front of him, and police say Cromedy honked his horn and started swearing at the driver. The other driver then stops, opens the door, leans out, and points at Cromedy. That's when this gets completely out of control.
Silverado with a lawnmower in the back of it was involved.
Cromedy reaches in his truck, grabs a gun. As the driver is pulling away, police say Cromedy fired 5 shots. Listen to this. Cromedy is not even allowed to have a gun or ammunition after being convicted for felonious assault and attempted felonious assault. And we've just learned that Cromedy is in custody. In Cleveland, Winnie Dortch, 19 News.
You all, we've got a lot of things that we have personally got to clean up. Okay? This is going to be the final story because I can't get past the fact that this was a grandmother. I want you to look how nasty and mean and rude she appears to be. I mean, she looks like she is exactly how she looks. Okay? We have got to get our thing together. When we are talking about, as we discussed previously, super predators, I'm looking at everybody. I don't know how that just happened to get off on Black youth, but I do see where all of a sudden we have the Contra cocaine situation, and we listen to what Hillary Clinton said with how she managed to connect it at that time. At that time, this situation was not happening. But now, amazingly, after the fact, when they realized the situation wasn't happening in accordance with the Marshall Project article that we mentioned earlier, in association with that article, it was not happening. What did they say? Well, everything was down by 2/3. And then all of a sudden, crack makes its way to the street. And now we are going to sit here and act like this is something that we have just simply become. And that coupled with the music and the weapons, because you just saw Chef G, right? Y'all saw, I don't understand that. If this was an everyday thing, if having these guns was just the bomb.com, this is just something that they did. Why were they always on camera doing it? Like, you don't see the level of witchcraft. You don't see the level of collection of souls that you're doing when you're taking each other out. And the fact that we can't even catch a little boy, a 15-year-old baby K, and then he's out here taking out grown people. Not only is he on the school bus doing it, but he's taking out grown people. Let's look at this grandma. Get it together. We have got to make up in our minds to pull it together. We can't be out here walking around looking like ISUPK versus IUIC. We cannot be doing this. Who's supposed to want to follow that? That was the reason why a lot of people, kids grew up and didn't even want to go to church. You saw your parents or your grandparents doing things and being people that they were not, or acting like people they were not then. But this grandmother, she disturbed me. Hold on just 1 second. We have got to get it together. We want to take back our power, and I keep hearing things like this. We're going to take back our power. Take back your power in this way. Take back your power in this way. Take back your families. Take back the streets. Learn how to communicate with one another. Learn how to love one another again. If we're going to work with all the other nations of the world, learn how to get along with them peaceably as much as it depends on us. And then when people get out of hand with you, you will have to deliver a firm rebuke.
How in the world can anyone kill a 2-year-old child? It's beat to death.
Well, that was one of the victim's grandfathers. He told us he's just heartbroken and angry. The person trusted to care for the child is now accused of taking her life. A warning, the details you're about to hear are disturbing and painful. In this story out of Greensboro, they are what the 2-year-old's brother shared with investigators.
And he indicated that his sister had been touching the outside of an aquarium where they keep fish in. And at that point, it had angered Miss Thomas. And at that point is when she had pushed this little girl down the stairs. He stated that she, being his sister, got a big whooping because that she had been messing with that fish tank. And when he described the whooping, he said his words, she got beat. He said, Grandma beat with a big belt.
Well, you are looking at the grandma there. Her name is Ruby Thomas. She's 58 years old. Guilford County prosecutors also described a fire medicine Thomas reportedly put in the little girl's mouth. The victim's sibling told officers Grandma beat the girl in the past, and at one point he had to cover his ears because of the commotion. Thomas never said a word during her video appearance in court today. At times, she shook her head as she sat there in handcuffs. Judge ordered her to have no contact with the siblings of the victim or her 17-year-old daughter. Fox 8's Elijah Skipper spent some time with the 2-year-old's grandfather, who is just furious his granddaughter is gone.
But it's kind of puzzling to me. How can anyone, you're a human being, to do this to a little child?
A grieving grandfather puzzled over how a child who loved to smile and seemed so happy could drive someone to kill her.
Never in my life would I have suspected something like that would happen.
Court documents detail the injuries John McCain's granddaughter suffered. Rib fractures, hemorrhaging, and bruises on her body.
Whatever happens to her, whatever they do with her in court is not bad enough. It's not bad as mean as how she did the little girl. Little girl couldn't take up for herself. She couldn't even run, do nothing.
He's talking about 58-year-old Ruby Thomas. A Greensboro police spokesman told Fox 8 she was caring for her 2-year-old granddaughter at this home on Farrell Street when officers received a call about a cardiac arrest on April 1st.
I've known her for quite a while now, a few years. She's the meanest woman I've ever seen in my life.
In court Thursday, we learned officers found signs of abuse on the other children in the home. One of them is just 5 years old.
They came here and we looked at them and we took them to the hospital, took the shirts up on them, and there was bruises all over their back.
What pains this grandfather the most
is to know that she was crying and I couldn't get there to help her.
In Greensboro, Elijah Skipper.
And I pray to God that no one else would ever have to go through this.
Fox 8 News.
The victim's siblings, 2 young boys, are now living with the grandfather you just heard from. We saw them today shortly after they got home from school. They looked happy and healthy.
Yeah. We got to get it together. We got to get it together. I don't understand where in this world these things just seem to be so much fun. We're so mean, we're so evil, we're mistreating one another, and it's okay. And we're mistreating each other without cause. I don't get it. We are not super predators. But you saw your government in action and you heard what they were doing in action. Pull up those articles if you can, please. Okay? Just pull them up. This was wild. This is it. This was wild, and I have got to show you all this. Eyes to the screen. Look at this building.
On at 6, this crash and collapse killed a man back in February. Police say the black car that caused it all was stolen. Tonight, we're hearing from the man who says that car belongs to him. We first told you yesterday the suspect who stole, then crashed the car is now facing manslaughter charges for this incident. In a WJZ exclusive, Stefan Dingle talks with the victim who says he hadn't seen his car for days until he saw coverage of the crash on WJZ.
I DoorDash every day for work, so missing my car is a big part of my finances.
This dramatic video that has made the rounds on TV and social media was the first time that Stefan Johnson got confirmation on the whereabouts of his Hyundai Sonata.
I DoorDash every day for work, so missing my car is a big part of my finances.
The suspect, Sean Lee Brunson, has been indicted on several charges behind the crash and for stealing Johnson's car, which was locked and parked just outside his home on Marietta Avenue in Northeast Baltimore.
Taking care of some things in the house, and then 10 minutes it went by, came back out, and it was gone right where I parked it, right in front of the house.
Johnson immediately called police, who said things like this happen all the time. Initially, they thought his car could have been repossessed or that someone just took it for a joyride and that it would turn up in a couple of days, which it did, but in the most dramatic way.
It was kind of surreal, considering that it was my car involved, and I feel bad for anybody involved, the family involved, for the person that died, and it was crazy to see. Just couldn't believe it that had been my car, and just hoping everything would get resolved.
For days after the deadly crash, Johnson called impound lots with no response and heard nothing from police until just 2 days ago, telling him that the suspect, Sean Lee Brunson, would be indicted. The good news for Johnson, his insurance company got hold of the video of the crash to compensate the total loss of his car. Johnson believes he's one of many victims of the viral TikTok trend of people stealing Kias and Hyundais without needing a key.
Yeah, I'm almost certain. I mean, my car's locked. I have both keys. I don't see how there's no other way that you can get into my car. So, yeah, that's a problem that, needs to be addressed. And it's just a sad issue for anybody that's involved, especially when the death is involved like it was.
In Northeast Baltimore, I'm Stefan Dingle for WJZ.
There you are, riding along. And some of these kids think they're going on joy rides. These are the things that for some reason nobody is thinking ahead. What if this happens and such happens to me? He's on a joyride. He has somebody else's car. He slams into another car going through the intersection, and they both slam into the building, and the building falls on you. And then you're just lucky enough to survive and probably here going, Lord, I'm going to church. I thank the Lord. Anything could happen, only to find out your joyride has now caused the death of another human being. And so now you are about to be charged with manslaughter. You won't be going anywhere after this. Isn't that something? It's like our kids aren't even thinking. That's what I don't understand. Remember when certain kids used to think, man, if you go and do this, anything could just happen. You never thinking about that? Anything could happen for anything, but why put yourself in a stupid situation? And that's what I'm seeing a lot of too. And now I'm also looking at a lot of the adults. That woman was 58. She didn't even look 58. I saw a 60-year-old woman whose body was so nice and tight and taut. 60. Okay? Family, I love y'all. And this wasn't even everything. I really wanted to kind of really concentrate more on it, but I'm telling you, pull up those articles. This might be something, I don't even know why it fell back on my radar, that we might want to examine as it pertains to the super predator. And it's funny how the people who are calling us super predators, we're sitting here looking at them. Giuliani, Trump has just recently been not convicted, but he's got to pay up. I mean, look at what we're looking at. Look at how they're charging black people for taxes. Look at how they've got us numbered. Either way, no matter what, how we're always paying more. And you dare call us super predators when you've been bleeding us every which way but right? I don't want the Lord to have mercy on you. I pray your destruction. Anyway, to my people, often imitated, never, ever duplicated. You are beautiful. Okay? Sister Mika, we pray your health continually. To all of our family, for whatever it is that you need, for your finances to increase, whether you need justice, and whether you just simply need peace. And pray for that too. Pray that you keep your eyes on the Most High. Pray that you keep your hands in His hand. I pray that you continue to pray over your children. We don't say prayers for the wicked, but we definitely, definitely hold up our brothers and sisters in high regard. I pray the Lord keeps you and watches over you, that we live our very best life, the best that we can. I bless each and every one of you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. Hey, Obadiah. All right, Eve, I see. Okay. Peace and blessing to each and every one of you. I love you. Relax today if you can. Take in the beauty of the Most High. Open your windows, let some fresh air in. Go for a walk. Just bless and be a blessing. Obadiah, I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. I really do. My brothers and sisters of the CUC folk, thank you so much for coming through. You all take care of yourself and have a beautiful day. All right. Peace and blessings.